Chapter 564. Alright, all of you can leave. Yes, we will take our leave. Taoist Master Duo Bao agreed and left as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. The effect of the instant blooming flower is still there, but my current understanding of this immortal art is too weak. I have to cultivate it to greater mastery as soon as possible. Xing Hui looked at Taoist Master Duo Bao and the others as they left. The supreme immortal technique, blossoming instant, was not very compatible with him. He estimated that he would have to use at least a few hundred Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade to cultivate this supreme immortal technique to the great success stage. He would have to find a way to make up for these Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade with items that carried Taoist rhymes. For a moment, his gaze couldn't help but fall on the 11th grade flying sword and 11th grade divine weapon that Holy Venerable Black Eyes had given him. Flying sword and divine weapon can be sold through the Primordial Trade Union. It's time to make the Primordial Trade Union famous. I'm guessing that Heaven Dome has probably found out about my relationship with the Primordial Trade Union. There's no point in hiding it. As for the Frost Divine Armor, it's a 13th grade armor. It should be sold to Heaven Dome. Any divine weapon above the 12th grade can be considered a strategic resource, let alone an armor that's half a grade more precious than a divine weapon. As he thought about this, Xing Hui's consciousness was already projected into the Primordial Trade Union. The matter on the Fortune continent is almost settled. I just need to wait for the results in the Divine Rune Pavilion. When I leave a coordinate on the Fortune continent, I'll be able to withdraw from the Fortune continent. Now that he had the backtrack art, even though the Fortune mainland was 180 million kilometers away from the Heaven Wasteland world, the weakening effect was nothing to him. After all, he would be resurrected on the spot with full HP and MP. With this in mind, Xing Hui stepped into the Primordial Trade Union. At present, Xing Hui had pulled the Divine Grace Trade Union into the Primordial Trade Union, allowing the Divine Grace Trade Union to communicate with the East Wasteland world. Many people from the Hidden Sword sect would stay in the Primordial Trade Union from time to time, making the Primordial Trade Union look a little more like a big trade union. It was no longer like before, when it was completely supported by Xing Hui alone. With Xing Hui's arrival, more than a dozen people in the Primordial Trade Union saluted Xing Hui at the same time. Alliance Leader, Lord, Grand Elder, and so on. There were all sorts of titles. Xing Hui waved his hand and finally said, "In the future, everyone in the Primordial Trade Association will call me President." The dozen or so people in the Chamber of Commerce were startled and quickly added, "President." Yes. Xing Hui turned to look at one of the women and quickly recognized her. Su Tong. Is Su Hui here? Grand Elder. No, President. Young Miss is not in the Chamber of Commerce. If the President has any instructions, I will ask her to come over. Emicham, I have 2 items that I need to sell. An 11th ranked divine weapon and an 11th ranked flying sword. At the same time, why don't you hold an auction with these 2 items as the foundation? Use this auction to spread the name of our Primordial Trade Union. You can make a promise and we will deliver the valuable items to your doorstep. A flying sword of the 11th step, Su Tong was shocked, but she still hurriedly promised, "Yes, we'll arrange it right away." "Yes, that's it. Go and arrange it," Xing Hui said, intending to leave the Chamber of Commerce. Grand Elder. Just as he was about to leave, Duanmu Tong suddenly shouted. "Oh, Elder Duanmu Tong, is something the matter?" "Grand Elder, the last time I saw you, you seemed to be rather interested in war puppets. You even focused on learning about the Scarlet Sun Demon God that the Arcane Art Sect obtained from the Scarlet Sun Sect?" Duanmu Tong lowered his voice a little. "That's right. That's an astronomical phenomenon-level war puppet. Who wouldn't want it? Then there's a good opportunity right now." "Oh." Xing Hui waved his hand and the environment around them rapidly changed. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were in a room that resembled a living room. "Tell me about it." Duanmu Tong didn't find it strange that the Son of Chaos had the power to transform his personal space. He was only envious of Xing Hui for having such a vast personal space. Hearing Tsing Hui's question, he didn't dare to hold back and hurriedly said, "Sir, do you still remember what the Great Furnace Chamber of Commerce's elder Bailey Feedy told you about the Scarlet Sun Demon God? The arcane art sect obtained the refining method of the Scarlet Sun Demon God and is currently gathering the materials to refine it?" "That's right." Tsing Hui seemed to have thought of something when he heard this. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the arcane art sect has successfully refined the Scarlet Sun Demon God? They've succeeded, but it can also be considered as a failure. They're just one step away, a sun core. A sun core? That's right. A sun core is the product of an extinguished sun. It's too much of a waste to use it for cultivation, and the price to reignite it is too expensive. Therefore, it's rather useless to most cultivators. Very few people deliberately keep it, and those who keep it often have their own considerations. Currently, the arcane art sect is purchasing sun cores everywhere. Even though they've done so in secret, the allure of the Scarlet Sun Demon God is simply too great. There are still people who leak the news, and many forces have set their sights on the arcane art sect. There are still people who leak the news. These people can't be the arcane art sect's sworn enemy, the divine refining sect, right? It's pretty close. Duan Mutong smiled a little awkwardly. The divine refining sect probably wants to use the Scarlet Sun Demon God as bait to lure the nearby cultivators to besiege the arcane art sect and snatch the Scarlet Sun Demon God. However, since no one can confirm the authenticity of the Scarlet Sun Demon God's refinement, most of them are biding their time. They haven't tried their best to find out news about the Scarlet Sun Demon God. There aren't many who have actually made a move. After all, the arcane art sect is a huge force with 3 almighties overseeing it. Tsing Hui was rather tempted when he heard this. The Scarlet Sun Demon God. That was an embodiment of heaven and earth level war puppet. Even if the war puppet couldn't be compared to a true embodiment of heaven and earth level expert due to its logic and flexibility, it was more than enough to deal with ordinary almighties. Especially since most of the war puppets could be easily controlled. It was just like wearing a mech. A battle puppet that was controlled by a human was much stronger than an uncontrolled one. At the very least, the logic aspect would be completely compensated. The only drawback was its flexibility, which could be made up for by relying on the terrifying attack and defense of the celestial phenomenon of Earth. With the Scarlet Sun Demon God around, it was equivalent to having another almighty-level helper. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary almighty. I have the Qi into 3 purities technique. If I use the Qi into 3 purities technique to create the Taiqing Tsing Hui or the Shengqing Tsing Hui and control the Scarlet Sun Demon God to fight in front, then I'll attack from the side. At the thought of this, Tsing Hui's eyes lit up instantly. With such a combination, even if they were to face a true embodiment of heaven and earth level existence, they would probably be able to hold their own. Duan Mutong, I'll find an opportunity to send you to the meteoric Iron Continent. Pay close attention to the news of the Scarlet Sun Demon God from the arcane art sect. Once the news of the Scarlet Sun Demon God's refinement is confirmed, inform me immediately. It's my honor to be able to serve the Grand Supreme Elder. Duan Mutong agreed happily. He had made the right bet. This time, he had truly received the recognition of the Grand Supreme Elder Tsing Hui. Just as Tsing Hui was preparing to leave the Fortune mainland, in a city far away in the heavenly wasteland domain, an earth-shattering power suddenly erupted. Waves of energy rippled through the void, almost turning all matter and life into dust. Broken sword. Amidst the destructive torrent, a pained roar pierced through the clouds. Accompanying it was a majestic domain that suppressed tens of kilometers. Kill. He has already been severely injured by our combined attack. Today, he will die without a doubt. Ha ha ha, Zhu Zhao, to think that you would have such a day. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Don't worry, I'll definitely go to your grave and burn a joss stick for you. From today onwards, the heavenly illumination no longer exists. Amidst the angry roars, a majestic voice spread out endlessly. Majestic figures with domains flickered in and out of the distorted void. Just a trace of energy fluctuation from the void could cause devastating damage to the land within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. Huge cracks tore through the earth, turning the ground within a radius of hundreds of kilometers into a mess. Oh my God! That's the most powerful person in the heavenly Tao, the invincible existence in the saint stage, the Li Hen Holy Man. It's the Li Hen Holy Man. At the peak of a mountain several hundred kilometers away from the battlefield, 2 golden core stage cultivators and over a dozen true essence stage, transformative stage and never-ending stage cultivators were looking at the battlefield that was leaking out a destructive aura from time to time. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Not only the Li Hen Holy Man, there's also the Great Astrolabe. The Great Astrolabe of the Flawless Holy Man. One of the 4 great treasures of the heavenly Tao, the Great Astrolabe. Colorless world of spells, colorless world of spells, colorless holy man is also there. That's the Supreme Emperor Heaven-Crushing Technique. The Supreme Emperor Heaven-Crushing Technique of the Supreme Emperor Holy Man. Holy Woman Qing Wei is also there. 5 of the 8 great Tao masters of the heavenly Tao have attacked together and besieged Venerable Zhu Zhao. Besieging Venerable Zhu Zhao, one of the 10 most powerful people in the infinite wasteland domain. It's over. It's over. If Venerable Zhu Zhao was at his peak, it's not impossible for him to fight against the 5 great Tao masters of the heavenly Tao, but he's clearly injured now. How can he stand out among the 5 great Tao masters of the heavenly Tao? Once Venerable Zhu Zhao dies, half of the vitality of the heavenly Tao will be destroyed. How can it compete with the heavenly Tao? At that time, the heavenly Tao won't even need to start a chaos war with the celestial vault. Just by relying on the many experts in the heavenly Tao, they will be able to completely defeat the celestial vault and turn this chaos organization into history. Countless cries of surprise rang out from these 10-odd people. Looking at the terrifying battlefield that could be said to be capable of annihilating the heavens and earth several hundred kilometers away, everyone felt a tremor from the bottom of their hearts. The world is changing. The world of the infinite wasteland domain is about to change. Chapter 565. Zhu Zhao, Wu Lu, Li Hen, Tai Huang, Wu Sei, Qing Wei. Each one of them belonged to the pinnacle of the heaven wasteland domain, and each one of them was an invincible existence that possessed the power to go against the divine beasts. When these 6 experts fought in the void, it caused such a great disturbance that it could be said to be earth-shattering. However, esteemed Zhu Zhao was ambushed after all. The 5 invincible experts of the divine realm took advantage of the fact that his mind was distracted by the broken sword to launch a thunderous strike that seriously injured him on the spot. Their speed was so fast that he did not even have the chance to activate the backtrack technique. It should be said that using the backtrack technique before injury and using it after injury were 2 completely different concepts. Before injury, he could use the backtrack technique when he was forced to the end of his rope. At most, he could use the backtrack technique to seriously injure 1 or 2 people and then use the backtrack technique again. At that time, he would be restored to his peak state and could reverse the situation. However, if he used the backtrack technique after injury, he would only be able to return to the state after injury, which was meaningless. The disturbance is too big, let's end it quickly. It's okay, Wu Lu Dao Master, we have limited the battlefield to the same area, and this area has been disturbed by all kinds of methods. Let alone the incarnation technique, even the transmission technique cannot be transmitted to this area. If the people of Tianqiong want to come over to help Zhu Zhao, they can only fly slowly. And the place we have chosen is where Tianqiong and the Rainbow Sword sect are. Even if we fly at full speed, it will take more than a day and a half. This period of time is enough for us to exhaust Zhu Zhao's backtrack technique and turn him into ashes. Ha ha ha, Zhu Zhao, you also have a day like this. Today, I will avenge you for killing my disciple back then. In the void, the several great Tao masters of the heavenly way had a wanton smile on their faces, especially the Li Hen Holy Man, who was extremely excited. He could almost imagine what kind of rich rewards he would receive when he left the divine wilderness domain in the future for killing Zhu Zhao and leveling the Tianqiong domain. Well, don't talk nonsense, concentrate, don't fail miserably. Zhu Zhao is not a weak person, it is best to destroy his physical body directly, and then wait for him to use the backtrack technique. This way, we will have time to recover our Yuan Qi and catch our breath to avoid any unforeseen events. Wu Lu Dao Master said in a low voice. In fact, although the result of his calculation this time could be said to be good, it was not completely foolproof. If it weren't for the fact that the opportunity in front of him was too good to be true, he wouldn't be willing to take such a risk. Understood. The Dao Masters respected Wu Likless Dao Master, so they attacked Zhu Zhao Exalted Man even more fiercely. Broken Sword. The aura of the divine skill continued to fill his body, but he could not avoid the fact that his domain power was being torn apart. However, his eyes were shining. When he realized that his defeat was inevitable, he suddenly took action and resisted the attack of Holy Master Qingwei, the weakest of the 8 Tao Masters. Then, he suddenly appeared in front of the broken sword. Behind him, a huge golden dragon loomed, exuding a vast and majestic aura. Die! Zhu Zhao Exalted Man growled and pressed his hand down. The golden dragon behind him let out a deafening roar, which shook the 9 heavens and shook the divine souls of the Tao Masters. The broken sword, who bore the brunt of the roar, almost lost his consciousness and could hardly resist. Destroy the immortal. However, just as the esteemed Zhu Zhao sage was about to kill the broken sword, the leakless holy man, who had been overseeing the entire situation, flicked his finger. The great astrolabe in his hand suddenly turned into a starry sky and intersected with a star pattern engraved on the broken sword. A strange vortex similar to a black hole was formed in the middle of the two, where the esteemed Zhu Zhao sage was. The vortex swallowed the esteemed Zhu Zhao sage in one fell swoop. The endless power of the void gushed out from the black hole vortex, as if a hole had been poked in the sky. Under the crushing power of the vacuum level, the esteemed Zhu Zhao sage's broken body instantly collapsed. At this time, the broken sword also woke up from the roar of the immortal spirit. Looking at Zhu Zhao Exalted Man who had been destroyed, he suddenly laughed wantonly. Ha ha ha, do you think I don't know your secret skill of dragon soul? Do you think I don't know your dragon roaming the world skill? I've already told the 5 Tao Masters all the means you've mastered, and I've used myself as bait to lure you into the 3rd trap we've set. Next, I hope that when you return from the backtrack, you will still be able to withstand our next round of attacks. Li Hen Holy Man looked at Zhu Zhao Exalted Man who had been destroyed in front of Wu Likless sword, and a faint smile appeared on his face. You did well. Alright, retreat. Next, we will wait for him to return from the backtrack, and then we will send him on his way. As long as we don't leave any corpse or soul aura behind, even a level 10 resurrection spell will not be able to revive him. Wu Likless Dao Master nodded his head slightly, but he still stood at the outermost periphery. He had to ensure that if anything went wrong, he would be the first to leave. The chaotic level and responsibility that he shouldered did not allow him to put himself in danger. 24 hours passed in the blink of an eye. When the 24 hours were up, Zhu Zhao Exalted Man's figure suddenly appeared, but he was still severely injured. Kill. Zhu Zhao, your backtrack spell has been used. Today is the day you die. The few Tian Dao holy men shouted at the same time, and powerful attacks spread in all directions. Zhu Zhao Exalted Man's face was originally very serious, but after a while, he seemed to have received some news, and the oppressive aura on his body relaxed slightly. In the next moment, he turned his gaze and it landed on Wu Likless sword, who was outside the encirclement. Others may not die, but Wu Likless sword, even if I have to sacrifice myself, I will take your life today. After he finished speaking, the golden dragon's shadow behind Zhu Zhao Exalted Man let out a loud dragon roar, and circles of sound waves that could be seen with the naked eye spread in all directions under the support of the power of the spiritual realm on Zhu Zhao Exalted Man's body. It tore apart the encirclement formed by the 5 Tao Masters, and then it took advantage of this gap to rush towards Wu Likless sword. Burning his origin. Zhu Zhao is going to unleash his final attack. Final attack. Does he think that he can escape? Colorless spell world. Take my Emperor's heaven-crushing spell. The Tian Dao holy men sneered at the same time. In the next moment, powerful divine sense was released, and Zhu Xiao exalted man's body was completely trapped again. The collision between the divine sense and the spiritual realm caused a mighty energy fluctuation in the void. The fluctuation was so strong that it swept across hundreds of kilometers, destroying all matter and living beings in this area. Dragon Roar. Zhu Xiao exalted man let out a long roar, and an aura that was even stronger than before burst out. It resisted the Emperor Tai Dao holy man's heaven-crushing spell and collided with Wu Likless holy man's colorless spell world. A powerful force surged out and tore Wu Likless holy man's colorless spell world apart. Zhu Xiao exalted Wu Likless holy man took a step in the void, as if he was going to break out of the encirclement formed by the 5 Tao masters. It's useless, Zhu Xiao, accept your fate. Seeing that Zhu Xiao was in danger of breaking out of the encirclement, Wu Likless holy man let out a low roar. The great astrolabe in his hand flowed with starlight and turned into a bright starry sky. It was as if it was performing a space shift, causing the space in front of him to rotate completely, causing him to face Qing Wei holy woman directly. However, just as Zhu Xiao exalted man was sent in front of Qing Wei holy woman, Zhu Xiao exalted man, who seemed to be at the end of his rope, suddenly exploded. The brilliant golden dragon above his head let out a deafening roar, and its body expanded rapidly, forming a golden dragon head that was thousands of meters long. It was like an immemorial divine beast, and it swallowed Qing Wei holy woman. You want to drag someone with you before you die? Ha, do you think we'll give you this chance? Li Hen holy man laughed and was about to intercept Zhu Xiao and save Qing Wei. Even Wu Likless holy man moved the great astrolabe in his hand again. Rings of starlight wrapped around the immemorial divine beast that Zhu Xiao exalted man summoned with all his might. With the power of the great astrolabe, the power of Zhu Xiao exalted man could be easily shifted and neutralized by 70 to 80%. Even if Li Hen holy man could not save him, Qing Wei holy woman could still block Zhu Xiao exalted man's attack. Is that so? Then let's see if you can really save him. Wu Likless, let my 10 world rings meet your great astrolabe. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from the void. Following that, a ring descended from the void and directly wrapped around the starlight formed by Wu Likless holy man's great astrolabe, causing the power of Wu Likless holy man's great astrolabe to dissipate. Sung Qiong. Wu Likless holy man's expression changed slightly when he heard this voice. The Tsang Qiong master in the heavens had arrived. And almost at the same time as the Tsang Qiong master made his move, a bright sword radiance with a brilliance that ordinary people could not look at directly bloomed in the void and slashed towards Li Hen holy man. In an instant, endless light and heat filled everyone's vision. In the endless light, there was even a dragon's roar that seemed to have been passed down from the primordial age. Sun Glory. Bai Heng. Li Hen holy man, who originally wanted to save Qing Wei holy woman, let out a roar filled with hatred. The vast power of the realm surged towards the sword radiance that resembled the fall of the great sun, trying to block the attack of the sword radiance. Unfortunately, Li Hen holy man's strongest move was the Li Hen heavenly realm, coupled with the realm. Only the parting holy man who possessed the parting heaven world was worthy of being called the 5th holy master of the way of the heavens. However, his parting heaven world had fallen into the hands of Qing Su, so how was it supposed to withstand the sneak attack of the Baiheng swordmaster? Crack! Li Hen holy man's vast realm was crushed and torn apart by the sword radiance that was filled with boundless radiance and heat. The sword radiance, which incinerated void space, struck Li Hen holy man's body viciously. In an instant, all the defenses and gang energy on Li Hen holy man's body were destroyed. But this was not the end. Just as Bai Heng's streak of sword radiance tore through the Li Hen holy man's domain and disintegrated his defensive armor, a new streak of sword radiance dazzled the void once again. Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword. Li Hen holy man, who had barely withstood Bai Heng's sneak attack and was about to catch his breath, let out a painful roar when he sensed the second sword radiance that was about to strike him. In the next moment, this sword radiance that was unleashed by Heavenly Sword seemed to have no defense at all as it slashed into Li Hen holy man's body. In the next moment, it would tear Li Hen Holy Man's body into pieces. Teleportation. At this critical moment, Li Hen Holy Man roared. Circles of spatial ripples dissipated from where he was and his body disappeared without a trace. You dare to use the teleportation spell when space is in chaos. Pray that you won't die in the void space. A beautiful figure with long hair that reached her waist appeared from the dazzling sword light. Her voice was cold and clear. It was Heavenly Sword Wielder. Chapter 566. Just as the Heavenly Swordsman forced the Li Hen Holy Man to use his teleportation spell to escape, the Jinzhao Exalted Master's attack also struck the Qingwei Holy Man. If the great astrolabe of the Anisrava Holy Man weakened the attack of the Jinzhao Exalted Master and the Li Hen Holy Man came to the rescue, the Qingwei Holy Man would not have to worry about any injuries. However, the Anisrava Holy Man was restrained by the Heavenly Swordsman and the Li Hen Holy Man was forced to use his teleportation spell to escape. He could only rely on himself to resist the attack of the Jinzhao Exalted Master. Unsealing Spell. At that moment, the Qingwei Holy Man let out a roar of desperation. He activated his forbidden spell and the power of his domain started to boil like boiling water. Then, it turned into a huge wave that swept towards the Zhu Zhao Exalted Being's attack. Boom boom boom. The collision of the two realms was like the collision of two continents. All the energy and matter within a radius of 10 kilometers were annihilated into nothingness. Amidst the destructive power, the Qingwei Holy Man screamed in agony, "Anisrava Holy Man, save me!" Oh no! The Anisrava Holy Man, who was trapped by the Heavenly Swordsman's 10 world rings, screamed in shock. He did not even bother to retrieve the great astrolabe. He pointed his empty hand in the direction of the Jinzhao Exalted Master and suddenly, his realm was like two galaxies that rushed into the attack of the Jinzhao Exalted Master. The galaxies were disintegrated and cracked as they collided with the Jinzhao Exalted Master's realm. It was a pity that the Jinzhao Exalted Master was severely injured. Furthermore, he was using a secret spell that burned his own origin. He did not have enough energy to continue. The Anisrava Holy Man used this special method to drag the Qingwei Holy Man out of the attack of the Jinzhao Exalted Master. Great Astrolabe Starry Sky. After dragging the Qingwei Holy Man out, the Anisrava Holy Man waved his hand. The great astrolabe, which was quickly suppressed by the Heavenly Swordsman, suddenly exploded with a burst of bright starlight. The starlight clashed and the space within a radius of 10 kilometers was messed up. Even the Heavenly Swordsman, who was in the divine realm, felt that his senses were being confused and he could not differentiate between north and south. Sigh, we failed on the verge of success, let's go. Taking this opportunity, Wu Likless Holy Man sighed regretfully and quickly left the battlefield with Qingwei Holy Man. The Wu Se Holy Man and the Grand Emperor Holy Man did not dare to fight anymore and followed the Wu Lu Holy Man out. Don't chase a cornered enemy. Master Firmament shouted loudly and stopped Sword Master Bai Heng and the other sword bearers who wanted to chase after them. The three of them were no match for the Wu Likless Holy Man, the Qingwei Holy Man, the Wu Se Holy Man and the Tai Huang Holy Man. Even though the Wu Likless Holy Man's great astrolabe had been depleted and the Qingwei Holy Man's origin energy had been greatly damaged by the Zhu Zhao Master, if the Wu Likless Holy Man chose to fight to the death with them, they would inevitably be destroyed. No matter which side won, it would be a Pyrrhic victory and only one or two of them would survive. But now, it was not yet time to fight to the death. Zhu Zhao, how are you? Master Firmament's figure flashed and appeared beside the Zhu Zhao Master. The Zhu Zhao Master shook his head and was about to say something, but in the next moment, the power of the realm on his body dissipated and began to collapse rapidly. Oh no! When Venerable Master Sky Dome saw this scene, how could he not understand that Venerable Master Zhu Zhao had damaged his source energy? The first realm of the divine state. This was the foundation of the divine state, which was different from the sage state. Whether it was the void transformation state, vacuum crushing state, the divine state, the transversal state, or even the world with a thought, they were all closely related to the realm. The strength and stability of the realm determined the future of a cultivator. Now that the Zhu Zhao master's realm was showing signs of collapsing, one could imagine the severity of his injury. If he was not careful and the realm really collapsed, the Zhu Zhao master's realm would fall and become a sage. Sword Master Bai Heng, I'm glad you were nearby this time and sensed the aura of the Wu Likless holy man, the Qing Wei holy man and the others. Otherwise, the Zhu Zhao master would have died. However, I have to bring him back to firmament as soon as possible to stabilize his injury. I can only find another opportunity to thank you next time. My junior sister still needs you to take care of her in firmament. There will be plenty of time in the future. Sword Master Bai Heng said. Master Firmament smiled, but he really was not in the mood to discuss it. After nodding, he brought the Zhu Zhao master into his personal space and flew away immediately. Senior sister, I'll take my leave first. As for Grandmaster, I hope you can persuade him. When the nest is overturned, there will be no intact eggs. If we take care of ourselves, we may be able to keep the inheritance, but the times are different. The way of heaven and the eternal are ambitious. We can only save ourselves if we unite as one. The swordsman stepped forward and said, I'll tell Grandmaster. Sword Master Bai Heng nodded slightly. The swordsman grunted, and then seemed to think of something. He looked at Sword Master Bai Heng and said, You just used the Sword of Glory. Wasn't this sword move gradually abandoned by you because its flexibility was too small and it required you to pour your entire life's worth of cultivation into it? Why did you just? This sword did require me to pour all my cultivation into it, but a few years ago I met a very interesting person. He improved my sword, and now I can freely control the power of the Sword of Glory. Based on the inspiration he provided, I gradually deduced the second sword of the glory of Sun. Hey, someone can improve your sword technique? I wonder who it is. He's not a saint, just a cultivator who hasn't even reached the level of a powerful expert. A powerful expert who hasn't even reached the level of a powerful expert. In that case, I'd like to see him. This person should also be from Firmament. His name is Pak Hui. You'll know when you check him out, but he's not from Heaven Wasteland. If you want to see him in person, I'm afraid you'll have to send down your incarnation. If I'm interested, I'll go and have a look. Well, senior sister, I'll go first. Well, you're the Sword of Firmament. You were given such a divine sword by the four masters of Firmament, so you have to shoulder the responsibility. I understand. The swordsman nodded slightly, and the next moment the sword rose into the air. With a strong sonic boom, he tore through the clouds and disappeared without a trace. And Sword Master Bai Heng also bowed his head slightly, looking at the sword in his hand, thinking of the bits and pieces of the Sword of Glory just now. He couldn't help but think of Pak Hui, who improved the Sword of Glory for him and gave him the second sword of the Sword of Glory. A moment later, she shook her head slightly. Pak Hui was just an ordinary person, not yet a powerful expert, and far away in the eastern wasteland. The world between the two was too far apart, and most likely they would not have any contact in their lifetime. Moreover, he gave her the Sword of Glory, and she also gave him a sword intent to help him perfect his sword intent. The grievances between them were settled, and there was no more entanglement between them. She no longer thought about it, but focused on how to persuade her grandmaster to make a choice as soon as possible. When the sky changed, Tsing Hui was sending Duan Mutong to the meteoric Iron Continent, and his main body had just returned to the Hidden Sword sect. Huang Xiaolong had already left a set of coordinates on the Fortune mainland, and assigned Rockheart and Qin Shua the Chaos Realm to them. The two of them, in addition to Ling Shi, were the three sons of Chaos to monitor the Fortune mainland. If anything happened, they could inform him immediately. After returning to the Hidden Sword sect, he did not wander around. Instead, he quietly waited for the news of the Scarlet Sun demonic god and the accumulation of Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Jade. He hoped to accumulate enough Taoist rhymes as soon as possible so that he could cultivate the supreme immortal technique, Blooming Flower, to great success. As for reaching perfection, he didn't dare to imagine how much Tao aura he would need. It was Master Tsang Zhen who informed Tsing Hui about the changes in the sky. When Xing Hui arrived at Master Zhangzhen's courtyard, there were already more than a dozen figures gathered there. Zhangzhen, Zi Shao, Yu Lan, and the others were among them. However, Master Three Wonders and the others were not among them. Clearly, he needed to avoid arousing suspicion because of his identity. When they saw Xing Hui, everyone's gaze swept over him. Even though they knew that his cultivation wasn't high, no one dared to underestimate him. Master Zhangzhen, how are Master Zhu Zhao's injuries? Xing Hui stood beside Master Zhangzhen and asked in a low voice. It's not optimistic. Zhu Zhao's domain is gradually collapsing. Even though Zhangzhen's timely assistance slowed down the speed of his domain's collapse, he was seriously injured this time. Then, he burned his domain's source twice, causing the structure of his domain to be completely destroyed. The damage is too severe, and his domain is still slowly collapsing. Unless he can obtain a treasure that can stabilize his domain, he won't be able to escape the fate of his domain collapsing in 3 to 5 years, and his cultivation will fall to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Master Zhangzhen said with a grave expression. Once Master Zhu Zhao's cultivation fell to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, his battle strength might still be enough to fight against experts of the divine realm with the help of his realm and the enhancement of the Son of Chaos. However, it was impossible for him to have such a momentum again. At that time, Zhangzhen would also be greatly injured, and Master Zhangzhen alone might not be able to support Zhangzhen and keep him in the top 10 chaotic organizations. A treasure that can stabilize a domain? What kind of treasure can help Master Zhu Zhao stabilize his domain and even restore it? Don't think about it. Master Zhangzhen shook his head. The treasure that can stabilize a domain isn't of a high level, but it's very precious. The probability of it appearing in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion is very low, and even if someone buys it, they won't be willing to hand it over easily. If you don't buy it through the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, you can only kill divine beasts. The divine beasts Kunpeng and Chaos divine beasts both have the effect of restoring a domain, but you have to kill adult Kunpeng and adult Chaos divine beasts. As for adult divine beasts, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion rarely sells them, and even if they do, the price is so high that it makes people speechless. Adult Kunpeng and adult Chaos divine beasts, Xing Hui secretly took a deep breath. Kunpeng was the fastest divine beast, and it was almost impossible to kill it. Han Dun, on the other hand, belonged to the category of divine beasts that were most resistant to beatings and similarly had extremely tenacious characteristics. If it was just a Chaos divine beasts that wandered outside, it would be better as it couldn't be killed, and they could slowly wear it down. However, in the sea where divine beasts ran rampant, if they wasted too much time on Chaos divine beasts, the huge commotion would definitely attract countless divine beasts and divine beasts. Once they were surrounded by these divine beasts, all the divine beasts on Tianhuang continent wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of these divine beasts. Don't think too much. We can only hope that our luck is good and that in these few years, we will be able to find treasures that can restore the domain, such as the rare boundary painting fruit, the dimensional lock, and so on. Zhang Zhenjin sighed. Fortunately, it's not that there isn't any good news. Among the 5 Tao Masters of the Heavenly Tao, the Li Hen Holy Man has been teleported to the space interlayer. It's been 3 days, and it's said that he still hasn't appeared in the Heavenly Tao and is in danger of being lost. The Qing Wei Holy Man's fate is similar to that of Zhu Zhao, but it's only a little better. Even the so-called second Tao Master, Wu Lu, had his famous divine weapon, the Great Astrolabe, destroyed by the Firmament Treasure Pavilion, and his threat has been greatly reduced. I'm afraid that before the first Tao Master comes out of seclusion, or before the news of the Zhu Zhao Venerable Master's fall in cultivation, the Heavenly Tao will not act rashly against the Firmament Treasure Pavilion. Xing Hui heard this and nodded slightly. His heart was heavy. The Firmament Treasure Pavilion's current situation, it was really one disaster after another. It's a pity that the experts of the Sword Shadow are unwilling to reveal their true identity and location, and their invincible saint experts rarely step into the Heaven Wasteland domain. Otherwise, if we could invite more saint experts for this counterattack, we might even have the chance to completely kill one or two of the 5 Tao masters of the heavenly Tao. Sigh, what a good opportunity. Zhang Zhenjin shook his head as he spoke, but he also knew that there was no point in saying this to Tsing-Hui. Perhaps Tsing-Hui was talented, and if he was given 1,000 years to grow, he really could become a pillar of the Firmament Treasure Pavilion. But the Firmament Treasure Pavilion did not have 1,000 years left. The injury of the Zhu Zhao Venerable Master had already set off the countdown to the destruction of the Firmament Treasure Pavilion. Chapter 567. In 3 to 5 years. Tsing-Hui, who had just escaped from the Chaos Divine Pavilion, looked very serious. In 3 to 5 years, I have to derive Abhijna. Otherwise, once the heavens collapse and we lose the heavens, the Lihan Holy Man and the Qingwei Holy Man will definitely attack me personally and kill me. The only good news now was that the Lihan Holy Man was trapped in the void and no one knew when he would be able to find his way back to the infinite barren lands. If he was unlucky and encountered a spatial storm, he would die. Furthermore, the Qingwei Holy Man was severely injured by the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master and would not be able to cause any trouble for Tsing-Hui in the next 2 to 3 years. Therefore, he did not have to worry about the threat of the Lihan Holy Man and the Qingwei Holy Man. In 2 years, I will be safe. Tsing-Hui muttered to himself. Then, he turned his attention back to the creation Holy Jade. In order to derive Abhijna, I have to reach the Aurous Core stage first. However, I have only just reached the Aurous Core stage and it is still too early to talk about reaching the Aurous Core stage. My only hope is the creation Holy Jade. However, it is not easy for the creation Holy Jade to accumulate Tao Aura. If I want to accumulate enough Tao Aura to allow me to blossom instantly, I will need a year. A year's time. For any cultivator who had reached the Aurous Core stage, it was nothing. However, Tsing-Hui could not wait that long. Therefore, gather 1,000 Tao Aura and activate the creation Holy Jade. Qing Su had no idea whether 1,000 charms of ways would be enough to activate his large fortune jade, but the situation before him forced him to give it a try. The weapon and flying sword are already being sold. They'll probably be able to sell for 300 or 400 charms of ways when the time comes. As for the remaining charms of ways, I'll leave it to the frost armor. As for the Lihan Heaven Realm, Tsing-Hui did not intend to sell it. After all, if he were to fall into the space mezzanine, he would not be able to withstand the erosion of the power of space without the protection of the domain power. Only by relying on the Lihan Heaven Realm could he breathe in the space mezzanine and use the Heavenly Cave Divine Stone to shatter the power of the vacuum and return to infinite wasteland. After making up his mind, Tsing-Hui no longer hesitated and immediately sent a message to the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce's President Gong Xing. However, other than President Gong Xing, Yu Juanru of the Southern Path Chamber of Commerce, Gu Xinjin of the Rising Dragon Chamber of Commerce, Qi Sisi of the Heaven Net Chamber of Commerce, Jian Yun of the Vientiane Chamber of Commerce, and Jin Yu of the Exquisite Jade Pavilion were all within the range of his message. They agreed to meet in 6 hours to discuss the sale of the Frost Divine Armor. In less than 6 hours, Gong Xing, Jin Yu, Yu Juanru, Gu Xinjin, Qi Sisi, Jian Yun and the others had already arrived at the separate courtyard that Tsing-Hui had opened up in his personal space. Along with them, there were more than a dozen men and women with extraordinary auras and high positions. A 13th order divine armor was of great importance. It was a strategic resource in any force. Forces like the UNG sect and the Divine Punishment Palace may not even have a 12th order divine weapon, armor, or flying sword. Now that Tsing-Hui had taken out such a treasure, it naturally alarmed the forces behind them. For a time, the real leaders of these forces rushed over, unwilling to miss the opportunity to put a 13th order divine armor into their pocket. Your Excellency Pak Hui, this is the Vice President of the Southern Path Chamber of Commerce, Nantian Yun, and also my father. This is President Gu Yunshin of the Rising Dragon Chamber of Commerce. This is my master, and also the President of the Vientiane Chamber of Commerce, Spiritual Master Xing Fu. After Tsing-Hui appeared, Gu Xinjin, Yu Juanru, Jian Yun, and the others naturally introduced themselves. Although the few of them had good statuses, they could not really make the decision in the face of a 13th order divine armor. After Tsing Hui nodded to these presidents and vice presidents of the large chambers of commerce, he did not waste any time and went straight to the point. I have a 13th order divine armor that I need to sell. I don't need to say more about the value of a 13th order divine armor. I will invite the divine armor out in a moment, and everyone can make their own bids. However, I have to say in advance that if the final price of this divine armor is less than 500 Taoist rhymes, I will not sell it. Of course. The price of a 13th order divine weapon is already extraordinary, let alone a 13th order divine armor. Your Excellency Pak Hui, I'm afraid it's not appropriate to appraise an item in the Chaos Divine Palace. Can we discuss an exact location before we make the transaction? President Yunshen is right. Your Excellency Pak Hui, why don't you consider it? The various presidents suggested one after another. If they could delay the Green Ruins transaction slightly, they would be able to make sufficient preparations as well as discuss among themselves. Perhaps they would be able to purchase the 13th level armor at the lowest price possible. They could then discuss who the god artifact belonged to then. However, Tsing Hui clearly wanted to catch them off guard. He said bluntly, the bidding location is here. If you don't trust me, you can turn around and leave to avoid the risk. Of course, that's not what we mean. For safety's sake, it's just for safety's sake. Your Excellency Pak Hui, you don't have to worry. Take out that divine armor and let us see it first. Seeing that no one had any intention of leaving, Tsing Hui had a deeper understanding of the value of this divine armor. He nodded and took out the frost divine armor. This is... The guild leaders immediately looked at one another when they saw Qing Su take out the armor of frost. Many of them who were more knowledgeable immediately recognized the origins of the armor. The frost divine armor. Since you recognize this armor, I don't need to introduce it too much. You just need to carefully appraise and see if this divine armor is real. Gu Yunshan of the Rising Dragon Chamber of Commerce pondered for a while, organized his thoughts, and said, Your Excellency Pak Hui, if I remember correctly, this frost divine armor should be one of the two supreme treasures, a sword and a armor, that Qing Wei Holy Man and Wu Se Holy Man found when they went out to excavate an ancient cave. Qing Wei Holy Man added 100 Taoist rhymes to this frost divine armor and kept it in his hands. Later, because his son, the Profound Ice Holy Man, developed a divine ability and became a powerful figure, he gave it to the Profound Ice Holy Man to protect himself. I don't know how it ended up in the hands of Your Excellency Pak Hui. You don't need to ask about the origin of this divine armor. You just need to appraise it and determine whether it's real or fake before bidding. Gu Yunshan, Nan Tianyun, Xing Fu, and the others exchanged glances. In the end, Xing Fu stepped forward and said in a slightly troubled manner, Sir White Ruin, you should understand that even though a divine armor like this that has an owner won't draw hostility like a primal chaos technique, I'm afraid that all sorts of trouble will be unavoidable when the time comes. Businessmen like us pay attention to harmony and wealth. If this divine armor causes us to draw the hostility of a supreme figure at the Saint Realm, then this sort of transaction is naturally extremely not worth it, Xing Fu spoke, and the other presidents and vice presidents nodded in agreement. So, you don't plan to bid for this divine armor? That's not it, but Your Excellency Pak Hui should understand that this kind of high-grade divine armor that obviously has an owner and will attract trouble naturally has to bear a certain amount of risk after buying it. If we follow what Your Excellency Pak Hui said, which is an item that carries Tao with a price of at least 500 Taoist rhymes, it's not worth it. If Your Excellency Pak Hui can lower the lowest price a little, we won't hesitate to buy it. At this point, Xing Fu looked as if he was thinking for Tsing Hui and said, How about this? This divine armor will probably bring you a lot of trouble. To prevent you from being targeted by Holy Man Qing Wei when the time comes, our Vientiane Trade Union is willing to buy this divine armor of frost for 400 Taoist rhymes. When the time comes, if Holy Man Qing Wei wants to take this divine armor back, he will come for our Vientiane Trade Union. It won't bring any danger to Your Excellency Pak Hui. You'll be safe, and will buy this divine armor at a satisfactory price. It's the best of both worlds. What do you think, Your Excellency Pak Hui? The best of both worlds? Xing Hui shook his head and said, "It seems that it was a mistake to invite you here. Currently, Heaven's Vault is facing the Son of Chaos of the Heavenly Way, and the stored Taoist rhymes can't be used lightly. It's because of this that I didn't sell this divine armor to Heaven's Vault. Instead, I want to let you all compete for it. Since you all feel that buying this divine armor is risky, I'll just sell it to Heaven's Vault. I believe that there will be people in Heaven's Vault who will be willing to buy this divine armor at a price that I'm satisfied with." As he spoke, Xing Hui directly reached for the divine armor of frost and was about to take it away. "Your Excellency Pak Hui, our Galaxy Commerce is willing to buy it for 500 Taoist rhymes." Seeing that Xing Hui was about to take the divine armor of frost away and no longer wanted to sell it, Gong Xing finally couldn't help but speak up. At the same time, he looked at Xing Hui with a sincere expression and said, "Your Excellency Pak Hui, in a situation where we have to face a supreme divine realm powerhouse, our Galaxy Commerce is willing to buy this divine armor for 500 Taoist rhymes. This price is already considered generous. If you don't believe me, Your Excellency Pak Hui can ask around, perhaps you're right, but, if I don't sell this divine armor to you, but choose to trade it to the Heavenly Way's competitors, the Eternal Realm or the Divine Wilderness, I believe that its final price will definitely be above 500 Taoist rhymes." Seeing how these little tricks were unable to suppress Qing Su, the other merchant associations looked at each other. In the end, they could only start bidding slowly, 520. "Our Myriad Elephant Merchant Association is willing to pay 520 Taoist rhymes. Our Chamber of Commerce has limited funds at the moment. 530 Taoist rhymes is the limit of our Rising Dragon Chamber of Commerce. Then I can only say that I'm sorry. I'm willing to bid for this divine armor with 540 Taoist rhymes." The major chambers of commerce started bidding one after another. Not long after, the price of the divine armor of frost had risen to 580 Taoist rhymes. The bidder was the Myriad Elephant Commerce. When it came to this price, the other large trading companies had stopped bidding. Obviously, this was the final price of the transaction. This price was slightly lower than the 600 Taoist rhymes that Xing Hui had in mind. However, he urgently needed Taoist rhymes at the moment, and Tianqiong was currently in a crisis. It wasn't good for him to use a large amount of Taoist rhymes to buy this divine armor. Even if this price was slightly lower than the 600 Taoist rhymes that Xing Hui had in mind, he still had to accept it. "Alright, then this divine armor of frost is sold for 580 Taoist rhymes. Thank you for making this trip. President Xing Fu, the two of us will discuss the terms of the transaction." Chapter 568. The transaction went smoothly. Tianqiong had deliberately concealed the news that Reverend Zhu Zhao had been severely injured. Apart from the core members of the Heavenly Tao, no one else knew about it. Even the Tao Masters of the Heavenly Tao were not sure about the exact extent of Reverend Zhu Zhao's injury. Otherwise, they would have seized the opportunity to profit from him. Relying on Reverend Zhu Zhao's deterrence, Xing Fu of the Vientiane Chamber of Commerce was willing to pay 580 Taoist rhymes for Xing Hui's frost armor. When Xing Hui sold the frost armor, the auction of the Primordial Chamber of Commerce also came to an end. In the end, they gained 422 Taoist rhymes. The flying sword and divine weapon provided by Xing Hui accounted for 90% of these gains. 1,083 Taoist rhymes. Xing Hui looked at the 4-digit number of Taoist rhymes in his hand with a faint smile on his face. Most of these Taoist rhymes came from the sale of the divine weapons on Saint Master Xuanbing's body, and some came from other sources. After all, he now occupied the entire eastern wilderness world, so it was reasonable for him to gain something every now and then. If I use these Taoist rhymes to increase my chaos level, it'll be enough to push my chaos level to the 61st level. But if I'm not wrong, the 60th level is a big threshold. When that happens, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion will change again. Who knows how many Taoist rhymes I'll need to consume every day. For this reason, Xing Hui had to temporarily stop increasing his chaos level and focus all his energy on the Fortune Divine Jade. The efficiency of transforming Taoist rhymes into mysterious energy in the Fortune Divine Jade is extremely low, but it has an ability that the Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade can't provide. It can activate the Fortune Divine Jade. When it's activated, the Fortune Divine Jade has an extremely high effect on the comprehension of immortal skills. I wonder how high it can be. With this thought in mind, Xing Hui glanced at the Fortune Divine Jade, then looked through the various experiences of the Netherworld sex people in cultivating the supreme immortal skill, Blossoming Instant. Then, activate. Buzz. Buzz. The 1,000-year-old Taoist item was reduced to ashes in an instant. The rich energy was converted into the Fortune Divine Jade. The efficiency was so low that it made one's hair stand on end. However, the Fortune Divine Jade trembled slightly and released a dazzling purple light. As Xing Hui immersed his mind into the violet light and relied on its energy to comprehend the supreme immortal technique, Blossoming Instant, countless inspirations surged into his mind. This kind of effect seems to be a lot worse than simply using the energy in the Fortune Jade to comprehend the flower blooming in an instant. But, the duration has been greatly extended. The activated state lasts for 10 days. Xing Hui frowned as he sensed the various charms flowing in his mind. However, time was of the essence. Under the terrifying consumption of one Taoist rhyme almost every 10 minutes, he had to race against time and try his best to push this supreme immortal technique, Blossoming Instant, to a higher level. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. In these 10 days, he constantly comprehended, mastered, and studied the various mysteries of the supreme immortal technique, Blossoming Instant. After 10 days, his comprehension of Blossoming Instant had reached the point where he was only one step away from the realm of great accomplishment. Fortunately, after 10 days, Xing Hui's mind had accumulated enough inspiration. In addition, when the Fortune Divine Jade disappeared from the activated state, he did not hesitate to put the 20 Taoist rhymes that originally belonged to the Fortune Divine Jade into the comprehension of Blossoming Instant. Immediately, he broke the shackles of this supreme immortal technique and pushed it to the realm of great accomplishment. Compared to the initial stage of Blossoming Instant, the success rate and conversion rate of the Taoist rhyme instant in the realm of great accomplishment were greatly improved. He was 90% sure that with the Blossoming Instant in the realm of great accomplishment, he would be able to cultivate his peerless grade golden core to the complete realm very soon. It's finally done. Xing Hui sighed in his heart. He glanced at his total assets that were only left with 83 Taoist rhymes. He understood why the almighties in the major factions who had such a high annual income kept their chaos level below the 29th level. Being unable to bear the burden was one problem, but the most important thing was, the higher one's cultivation level, the greater the consumption of resources, and the more Taoist rhymes needed. In the end, it's because many top cultivation resources can only be produced in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. If the Divine Wilderness was still at its peak 10,000 years ago, I reckon that rare treasures like the Void Understanding Grass and the Unfalling Flower that were worth tens or hundreds of Taoist rhymes could be easily bought with a few Taoist rhymes. Things were precious when they were rare. Xing Hui moved his body slightly. He had 83 Taoist rhymes, which was not enough to repay Hidden Sword Venerable's debt. Fortunately, he had a 29th level Chaos Technique. Thinking of this chaos technique, Xing Hui could not help but think of the sale of the Divine Frost Armor. It seems that it's not easy to sell this chaos technique of Holy Master Xianbing, and it's because she's already dead. If she's still alive, whoever buys this chaos technique will inevitably become Holy Master Qing Wei's mortal enemy. I'm afraid it'll be even harder to sell it. The only buyer for this chaos technique can only be someone from the Eternal or Divine Wilderness. Xing Hui frowned. It was difficult to sell this kind of chaos incantation on the market. After all, even a 29th order chaos incantation could only be passed down to a 14th order chaos incantation. A 14th order chaos incantation could not be used by an invincible existence in the divine realm, and even powerful people might not be interested in it. Even if someone bought it at a high price, he would at most give it to a junior he valued. However, Once this junior used this chaos incantation, he would undoubtedly offend holy man Qingwei. Under such circumstances, even if holy man Qingwei bullied and killed this junior, no one would say anything. This was an unspoken rule in the world of the Sons of Chaos. It was an unspoken rule that only applied to the high-level Sons of Chaos. Under such circumstances, the final transaction price of Tsing Hui's chaos technique would never be higher than 150 Dao rhymes. If this 29th level Son of Chaos is only owned by a great master like Holy Master Guang, Holy Master Golden Feather, Sword Master Hidden Sword, it's absolutely easy to sell it for 200 Dao rhymes. With a little hype, it won't be difficult to sell it for 250 Dao rhymes. Tsing Hui had no choice but to order the people of the Primordial Chamber of Commerce to pay attention to the Almighties of the Divine Wilderness and the Eternal, to see if any of them happened to be deprived of their chaos level and then secretly traded it without anyone knowing. Only in this way could they hope to sell it for more than 200 Dao rhymes. After selling this chaos technique, it would not be a problem to repay the teleportation fee from Swordmaster Hidden Sword. It seems that I have to store some energy in the Fortune Jade in advance, Tsing Hui murmured to himself as he sensed the Fortune Jade in his spiritual world. The Heavenly Axiom's method of dealing with Tianqiong had vaguely shifted from the Chaos War to crushing the real world. In that case, there was no need for him to be in such a hurry to raise his chaos level. Next, he should focus on increasing his strength as soon as possible. Time passed, and another 10 days passed. During these 10 days, Tsing Hui had been overseeing the Hidden Sword continent and had witnessed Luo Hongchen running the Hidden Sword sect in an orderly manner with the help of Xiao Luying. This result fell into the eyes of the Peak Master of the Iron Jade Peak, Zhou Zunyu, and immediately made him anxious. In these 10 days, he had asked to see Tsing Hui 3 times, but was turned away at the door. Zhou Zunyu's intention to make use of him was not just the slightest bit. Even if he was indeed capable and had managed the Iron Jade Peak well, but if such a scheming person were to become the sovereign of the Hidden Sword sect, the Hidden Sword sect would definitely be in turmoil in the future. The position of Peak Lord was the limit of what he could achieve. After dozens of days of delay, news finally came from Duanmu Tong through the Chaos Divine Palace. Supreme Elder, it has begun. These sects have begun their attack on the Arcane Art sect. Not only the foreign experts of the Golden Elixir realm, but even the local cultivators of the Meteorite Iron continent have joined in the purge of the Arcane Art sect. Duanmu Tong reported with an excited face. It has begun. Have they already determined the location of the Scarlet Sun Demon God? Has the Arcane Art sect really created the Scarlet Sun Demon God? No, these sects will never allow the Arcane sect to truly create the Scarlet Sun Demonic God. Once the Scarlet Sun Demonic God appears, even if it's just one of them, the Arcane sect will become the strongest force on the Meteorite Iron continent. After all, the only law phenomenon expert on the Meteorite Iron continent is the Bright Flame God King from the ancient shrine of the 8 great sects. 200 years ago, the Bright Flame God King was framed by someone and his state of mind and will was shattered. Over the past 200 years, he has been trying to restore his state of mind, but he has never been able to achieve a perfect state of mind. With an incomplete state of mind, the direct result is that the speed at which he enters the law phenomenon stage is extremely slow. Tsing Hui nodded. The law phenomenon stage was, in fact, a cultivator's comprehension of the law of heaven and earth. In the end, he would use his own will to simulate the law of heaven and earth and obtain the support of the law of heaven and earth. This would increase his attack and defense by countless times, and his every move would possess unparalleled strength. This stage was equivalent to the strengthened version of the Green Hell realm. However, because one had to rely on their own comprehension to simulate the law of heaven and earth and obtain the support of the law of heaven and earth, the state of mind, or the will that one had comprehended, became extremely important. Once the state of mind was damaged and the will was incomplete, the efficiency of imitating the law of heaven and earth to obtain the support of the law of heaven and earth and enter the law phenomenon stage would be extremely slow. The so-called early, middle, late, and peak stages of this stage were not only multiplied by the law of heaven and earth, but also related to the time taken to enter the law phenomenon stage. An ordinary lawful embodiment of heaven and earth expert would only need 2 or 3 breaths to enter the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Moreover, they would easily obtain 2, 3, 5 times, and even the peak of 10 times amplification. However, the Radiant Flames God King, whose state of mind was incomplete, had a record of 32 breaths. The slowest, he did not enter the law phenomenon stage for nearly 10 minutes, and then, the battle was over. This was also the reason why the ancient shrine had never unified the meteorite iron continent, even though they had a celestial phenomenon of heaven and earth expert. Those sects have already made a move against the arcane art sect. Yes. As long as they can capture the upper echelons of the arcane art cult alive, they will naturally be able to interrogate the location of the Scarlet Sun Demon God. When that time comes, they can even swallow the Scarlet Sun Demon God without anyone noticing, take him away, and disappear without a trace. Duanmu Tong said excitedly. Xing Hui nodded. The Scarlet Sun demonic god was not a fisherman who would benefit from the last attack. Luck was also a factor. Give me your soul imprint. I'll go to the meteorite continent right away. Yes. Arcane Art Sect, only 998 Chidian coins are required, and you can bring home the Crimson Sun Demon God. This event is only limited to Saturday and Sunday. What are you all waiting for? Subscribe now. Chapter 569. Having made up his mind, Xing Hui moved extremely quickly. With a backtrack art, an incarnation art, and a slight shift in his personal space, he appeared outside the courtyard that Duanmu Tong had bought on the meteorite continent. This courtyard was located in a large city 300 kilometers away from the arcane art sect. The distance could be said to be extremely close. Even though the development of the city was rather prosperous due to the existence of the arcane art sect, it was still easy for a golden elixir realm expert to buy a courtyard in a city where the strongest was only at the green underworld realm. Grand Elder. Seeing Xing Hui appear, Duanmu Tong hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. What's the situation now? Currently, all the upper echelons of the arcane art sect are gathering at the headquarters, Mountain of Truth. Currently, there are already 3 mighty figures of the arcane art sect and more than 340 golden core experts. As for the experts from the true energy realm to the unending realm, there are more than 1,000 of them. Duanmu Tong said. Even though the golden core realm was 3 realms higher than the true energy realm, 2 realms higher than the transformative realm, and 1 realm higher than the unending realm, due to the lifespan being 3 to 4 times longer than the unending realm, there were more golden core experts than unending realm experts. In fact, any unending realm expert would think of ways to break through to the golden core realm. Some people who believed that they did not have enough resources to cultivate a high-grade golden core would even try to break through to the golden core realm without hesitation. Under such circumstances, the pyramid of the cultivation world had an extremely strange phenomenon of flowing backwards. That was, the number of golden core realm cultivators was often more than the number of unending realm experts. Back in the Divine Wilderness era, it was said that this phenomenon had also appeared in the 3rd and 4th tier of the Saint realm. It could be said to be a great anecdote. The 3 mighty figures have all arrived at Mountain of Truth. That is to say, if the arcane art sect has the Scarlet Sun Demon God, that Scarlet Sun Demon God must have been collected at Mountain of Truth. That's right. The arcane art sect had also set up many deceptive formations in advance. However, these deceptive formations have already been destroyed by many almighties who could no longer hold back. Speaking of this, Duanmu Tong's gaze turned towards the direction of the Truth Mountain in the south. However, the arcane sect is still one of the strongest sects in the meteorite iron continent. The foundation of the sect is far beyond the imagination of ordinary cultivators. Now that they have gathered all their forces in one place and activated the arcane sect's illusory shattering divine formation, we will need at least 15 almighties in order to have any hope of killing our way into the arcane sect. 15 major powers. Xing Hui also glanced in the direction of Mountain of Truth. Even though they were 300 kilometers apart, he could still see the streams of light shooting into the sky from the mountain range. In reality, the arcane art sect had 3 major powers, over 300 Golden Core realm cultivators, and over 1,000 cultivators of other major realms. This lineup was already considered luxurious. Even in a head-on clash, this force could still fight to the death with 7 or 8 major powers. They were just afraid that the Almighties would use guerrilla tactics to break through them one by one. Now that the power of the formation was included, the arcane art sect's lineup was still only comparable to 15 major powers. The power of this formation was already considered weak. It was said that the formation set up by the Heavenly Way, a sect that specialized in formations, could often increase one's combat strength by 3 or even 5 times. If one was willing to spend a lot of capital and resources, they could even set up a top-notch formation that could only be broken through with 10 times the strength. In other words, with 1 major power guarding the formation, 10 major powers would be needed to break through it. This characteristic had already been reflected in the Creation Mystical sect. Only that kind of formation could be considered a true top-notch formation. The formation in front of him that only doubled the strength could only be described as sloppy and ordinary. Xing Hui glanced around. He could sense a few powerful auras dozens of kilometers away. Although these auras were faintly controlled and restrained, he, who cultivated the Spirit Wanderer control technique, was quite sensitive to this kind of power. He could still sense a few of them. He reckoned that those few were major powers. If they were too far away, he could not sense them at all. How many major powers have come so far? I really don't know. However, the news that the arcane sect had created the Scarlet Sun Demon God has spread to the other major sections. They all felt threatened and have sent representatives. 5 of them are led by major powers. In addition, there is the Golden Feather Sage of the Black Gold Continent, the Shining Sage of the Arc Light Continent, the Jade Sage and the Qishao Sage of the Sky Continent, as well as the White Night Sage, the Fire Fox Sage, and the Crane Shadow Sage. As for their origins, I reckon that they are employed by major forces in the Infinite Wasteland domain. Including the major sects, there are already 12 major powers with names and names. Xing Hui laughed when he heard this. I remember, isn't there a saying that the real bodies of major powers are not allowed to interfere in the disputes of the continents? Among the major powers of the Meteorite Iron Continent, half of them are from outside. Does this count as interfering in the affairs of other continents? The specific saying should be that the major powers of the Infinite Wasteland domain are not allowed to interfere in the disputes of other continents, and the major powers of large continents are not allowed to interfere in the disputes of medium-sized continents, and so on. However, in reality, it is not strange for the major powers born from small continents to interfere in the affairs of medium-sized continents, and the major powers born from medium-sized continents to interfere in the affairs of large continents. Otherwise, why would Jianing stay outside the Infinite Wasteland domain? Although the other continents are good, how can they compare to the prosperity of Infinite Wasteland domain? They hide outside the Infinite Wasteland domain because of that rule. If the Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal want to deal with them, they would have to find a suitable excuse. If the other 7 major organizations of the Infinite Wasteland domain are faced with destruction, Jianing, who is outside the Infinite Wasteland domain, would definitely be the last. If the Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal want to deal with Jianing first, it would be equivalent to completely flipping the table, and the world would be in chaos. Then what about the 3 major powers from the Infinite Wasteland domain? They are hired, and are not really from the Infinite Wasteland domain. Every top chaotic organization has a few of these major powers. Although they belong to the top chaotic organizations, they come from some remote medium-sized continents, and are not experts born and raised in the Infinite Wasteland domain. Xing Hui nodded slightly. This is the first time I know that there are so many details to this rule. In fact, this rule is also set by the top chaotic organizations and sects, in order to prevent the world from falling into chaos. However, now, from time to time, there will be major powers who no longer abide by this unspoken rule and attack the surrounding continents. As long as ordinary people do not have evidence, they can tie themselves to a good backer, and the other major powers will not interfere. Xing Hui vaguely understood what was going on. Back then, this rule was probably set by the sects to restrict the heavenly Tao and the eternal. However, as time passed, the mentality of many people had changed. The major organizations realized that this rule would seriously endanger their own interests, and thus began to gradually ignore this rule, and no longer insisted on upholding the rule. Once they no longer adhered to the rule, and no longer pursued the major powers who violated the rule. It would not be long before this rule would become empty words. Especially now. The heavenly Tao, the eternal, and the divine wilderness planned to clear the area, and all the major forces were in danger. The signs of chaos on the infinite wasteland domain were gradually appearing, and the number of people who followed this rule was naturally decreasing. In fact, the heavenly Tao, the eternal, and the divine wilderness were likely to become the users of this rule, and use this rule to deal with the major powers who did not have any backing, while they used this rule to expand their influence, and plunder more Tao objects from the small and medium-sized continents. In addition to these major powers who have exposed themselves, there should be many other major powers hiding in the dark. In this way, if we are not careful, we may become the mantis targeted by the Oriole. Then, Duanmu Tong also did not have a good idea on this point. Why don't we wait and see? The opportunity is fleeting, there is no point in waiting. Xing Hui shook his head. For a moment, Duanmu Tong could not help but be a little dumbfounded. Waiting was not the right thing to do, so what should he do? Xing Hui did not reply, but his gaze immediately fell on the many immortal techniques offered by the Creation Mystical Sect and the 6 great sacred sections. Among these immortal techniques, there were 2 that were most suitable for the current situation. One was the Supreme Immortal Technique, Shadowless Stance, and the other was an ordinary immortal technique, Aura Examination Technique. Aura Examination Technique could observe Yuan Qi, Spiritual Qi, Essence Qi, Divine Qi, Blood Qi, and other Qi of all things. It was infinitely useful for those who were hiding their tracks. Shadowless Stance was the opposite of Aura Examination Technique. It was a supreme immortal technique that restrained one's aura, and erased one's existence. Its purpose was to stand under the scorching sun, without a reflection behind one. It was said that if one could master it, one would be able to jump out of the 3 realms, and not be part of the 5 elements. No method of divination would be able to deduce one's origin. In the 10 days after mastering the blossoming stance, he had accumulated some Tao aura in the creation divine jade. He did not dare to speak about shadowless stance, but the ordinary aura examination technique, compared to the immortal technique system on the creation continent, the divine beast bloodline system of the heaven wasteland domain has much fewer variations. Especially after I switched to the extreme sword Tao, I have no other advantages except for attacking. I can use the various immortal techniques on the creation continent to make up for this shortcoming, so I won't be like those boorish people who don't understand the heavens and don't know the right time. They only know how to fight head-on, and in the end, they don't even know that they are being schemed against. Xing Hui thought, and said to Duanmu Tong, "Wait for me outside the courtyard for a while." With that, he directly returned to his room and began to cultivate the aura examination technique. As an ordinary immortal technique, the aura examination technique was naturally quite simple to cultivate. With the help of the creation divine jade, Xing Hui had pushed the aura examination technique to the major completion stage in a short time, and the consumption of Tao aura in the entire process was only a mere 14 points. As expected, it's simple. I estimate that with another 30 to 40 Tao aura, it won't be difficult to cultivate this aura examination technique to perfection. Xing Hui had a faint smile on his face. After cultivating the aura examination technique to the major completion stage, he immediately activated it. Instantly, the entire world in front of him became completely different. Everything in the world had a faint aura, and even the void in front of him was no exception. There was yellow earth energy, blue water energy, red fire energy, and various essence chi, vitality chi, and blood chi that represented the characteristics of different living beings. There was even the life force of living beings, the death chi of fallen creatures, the murderous aura formed from the transformation of will, and so on. Everything was presented in front of him one by one, and it was extremely clear. So this is the aura examination technique. It's really extraordinary. Then, let me see how many almighties are hiding around the arcane art sect, hoping to fish in troubled waters. As Tsing-Hui thought to himself, he activated the roaming spirit chi controlling technique. His primordial spirit left his body and went straight into the heavens. Soon, he had rushed up to 10,000 meters in the air. At 10,000 meters in the air, everything, including the arcane art sect, appeared before him one by one. He could see thousands of kilometers in all. Within this range of several thousand kilometers, powerful auras appeared in front of him. True Energy Realm, Transformative Realm, Unending Realm, and Golden Core Realm. They were all different. As he compared them to himself, Duanmutong, and the others, he quickly determined the strength of the aura in his heart. 14, 15, 16. There are 18 almighties just like me, hoping to fish in troubled waters. As expected, there are quite a lot of people who want to fish in troubled waters. Tsing-Hui muttered to himself. However, a moment later, he sensed that something was amiss. Aren't the 3 almighties of the arcane art sect already gathered at the sect's headquarters? Why do I only see 2 almighties in the arcane art sect? No. Not 2, but 1. There's actually only 1 almighty in the arcane art sect. Where did the other 2 almighties go? Chapter 570. The arcane sect's 3 almighties had been reduced to 1, and 2 of them were still missing. Tsing-Hui did not need to guess to know that something was amiss. The arcane sect still had other bases. The Scarlet Sun Demon God was most likely hiding in one of those bases, and the 2 almighties were personally guarding it. In the next moment, Tsing-Hui's primordial spirit returned to his body, and he immediately pushed open the door. Duanmutong, find out where all the arcane sect's branches are located. It would be best if some of these branches were newly established or developed in recent years. Don't miss out on any of them that have a bit of weight. Seeing Tsing-Hui's solemn expression, Duanmutong hurriedly responded, yes, I'll do it right away. After instructing Duanmutong, Tsing-Hui pondered for a moment before taking out the supreme immortal technique, Shadowless Stance, once again. After briefly comprehending it, he quickly entered the step of cultivating with the help of the Fortune Jade. Before Duanmutong brought the news over, Tsing-Hui had already ended his cultivation. There's a limit to Taoist rhymes. Being able to cultivate Shadowless Stance to the entry level is already the limit. As for the initial level, I'll have to wait for the Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Jade to accumulate for at least a month. Tsing-Hui's figure moved, and in the next moment, the aura on his body rapidly began to fade. Soon, it became barely discernible. Although he could still be sensed by others, the threat and strength he posed to others had all decreased by a level. The entry-level Shadowless Stance. The requirements can't be too high. When this supreme immortal technique reaches the initial level, it can hide almost all of one's aura. When it reaches the advanced level, it can even hide one's sixth sense, spiritual perception, and divine instinct. Even if I stand in front of a peak almighty and have murderous intent in my heart, that peak almighty will not know anything. Tsing-Hui was rather satisfied with this result. While Tsing-Hui was trying to use Shadowless, a series of knocks came from outside the door. Duanmutong had returned. As Duanmutong pushed open the door and entered, he was about to greet Tsing-Hui. However, when he sensed that Tsing-Hui's aura seemed to have weakened greatly and was somewhat erratic, he was stunned. He focused his attention on Tsing-Hui and sized him up for a while before he came back to his senses. Grand Elder, there's no need to say so much. There's no need to ask so many questions. Yes. Duanmutong replied respectfully, but he was even more respectful towards Tsing-Hui. The longer he stayed with the Grand Supreme Elder, the more he could feel the unfathomable mysteriousness of the Grand Supreme Elder. Elder, this is the first piece of information that I've purchased. It contains a detailed record of all the branches of the arcane art sect. Even those small branches that only have 1 or 2 true energy realm experts in charge are included. I've also marked out all the newly established or expanded branches in recent years. Duan Mutong respectfully handed over a jade talisman that recorded a large amount of information. All right. Xing Hui replied and quickly received the jade talisman. He scanned it with his mind and understood the many branches inside. Through Duan Mutong's analysis and his own observation, he quickly set his target on the 16 branches and planned the route according to the distance between these branches. Come with me, Qing Su said before directly riding his sword and flying towards the outside world. He was a golden core expert. Moreover, due to the extreme sword principle, his golden core aura was erratic. Now that he had cultivated Shadowless, it was even more difficult for others to see through his flaws. Anyone who saw him would probably treat him as an ordinary golden core cultivator. Not many people would pay attention to the departure of such a golden core cultivator. Grand Elder, where are we going? Just follow me, Xing Hui said and flew on his sword. In less than 3,000 kilometers, he had already arrived at a branch. As he used the aura examination technique to look at this branch, he could only see a few small fish and shrimps. In this branch that originally had never-ending cultivators, there was not even a single prominent divine elite. Now, not only were there true energy realm, transformative realm, never-ending realm experts, even prominent divine cultivators had been transferred to the headquarters. You're acting quite well, Xing Hui said and then turned around and flew to the next branch. The meteorite iron continent was not small, but the arcane arts sect was only one of the 8 major sects on the meteorite iron continent. The territory it occupied was limited. Xing Hui used a day to go around half of the arcane arts sect. Moreover, when he found the 9th branch, he finally stopped. These 2 auras must belong to powerful existences. It seems like this is the hiding place of the Scarlet Sun demonic god. Xing Hui hovered in the air on his sword and looked at the encampment in front of him. He could clearly see 2 auras that belonged to powerful existences in this branch. In addition, there were dozens of true energy realm, transformative realm, never-ending realm experts, and a few golden core realm experts. These cultivators were either old and decaying, or full of vitality and youth. Obviously, they were the elites of the arcane arts sect and people who were proficient in scientific research. The arcane arts sect is really determined and courageous. Other than the 3 powerful existences, I reckon no one in the arcane arts sect knows about this. These 3 powerful existences are probably prepared to sacrifice the headquarters of the arcane arts sect. Even if the headquarters of the arcane arts sect is destroyed, as long as the Scarlet Sun demonic god is successfully built, the arcane arts sect will still be able to rise from the ruins with the help of the 2 powerful existences. With the power of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, the arcane arts sect will soar into the sky and unify the meteorite iron continent in the future. Even developing into a colossus like the Sword Shadow sect will not be an extravagant hope. Xing Hui looked at the experts hidden in this branch and could not help but sigh. Elder, you're saying that the reason the arcane arts sect split their forces into 2 is to attract the enemy's attention? When Duan Mutong heard Xing Hui's words, a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Xing Hui nodded but did not explain in detail. There are 2 powerful existences of the arcane arts sect here. With my ability alone, I'm afraid it won't be easy to defeat these 2 powerful existences. After all, he could not be considered a true powerful existence. Perhaps in terms of attack power, he was already above the ordinary powerful existences. In a one-on-one situation, it would be relatively easy for him to defeat an ordinary powerful existence. However, once he was surrounded by 2 powerful existences, he would be defeated much faster than any other powerful existence due to his lack of defensive means. In the past, I didn't dare to touch this treasure of the Lihan heavenly realm. After all, this treasure has the spiritual imprint of the Lihan holy man. Once I use this item, the Lihan holy man will definitely sense it. At that time, he will only need to follow this spiritual imprint to lock onto my position. Then, he will ask a powerful existence with a 10th order personal space to descend and kill me directly. But now, the Lihan holy man is still trapped in the void and I don't know when he will be able to escape. The Lihan heavenly realm is mine to use. With this thought, Xing Hui did not waste any more time. First, he activated the Spirit Wanderer technique and used his immortal soul projection to investigate every detail of this branch. It wasn't long before he'd already investigated most of the branch. Only the core, where the two great figures resided, was protected by an invisible force, and even his soul core was unable to detect it at all. Looks like the Scarlet Sun demonic god is there. Xing Hui's immortal soul returned to its position and turned to Duanmutong. Next, the two of us need to work together. We came to this branch not to find the Scarlet Sun demonic god, but because the arcane art sect is not as powerful as before. Everyone kicks a man when he's down. We have targeted this branch and want to take advantage of it. Do you understand? Your subordinate understands. There are 4 Golden Elixir realm experts in this branch. I will disguise myself as an elite who has condensed a high-grade golden elixir, and you will disguise yourself as a local cultivator who has a grudge against the arcane art sect. Our goal is to lure out one of the 2 powerful existences in the core of this branch. If we can injure or even kill one of them, our subsequent actions will be much smoother. After Xing Hui gave his instructions, he quickly flew toward this branch with Duanmutong. Almost at the same time when the 2 of them appeared outside this branch, the cultivators in the branch who were constantly on the lookout immediately reported the news to the 2 powerful existences in charge of this branch, Shakyamuni Luomiao and Shakyamuni Zhu Jian. Shakyamuni, there are 2 people approaching our branch at high speed. How is this possible? We have already prepared a sufficient disguise beforehand. Everyone's attention should have been drawn to the headquarters, Mount Truth. How could there be people who have actually come to our branch? This should be a coincidence. These 2 people are only in the Golden Elixir realm. According to the information we have gathered, the 2 of them should be from the headquarters who originally had a grudge against our arcane art sect. They originally concealed their identities and did not dare to act presumptuously in front of our arcane art sect. Now that they have sensed that our arcane art sect is in danger, they have revealed themselves. On one hand, they want to take revenge. On the other hand, they want to plunder our resources by destroying these unguarded branches. According to their conversation just now, they have already destroyed 2 of our arcane art sect's branches beforehand. The Golden Elixir realm cultivator who came to report spoke with a hint of anger in his voice. Hearing his words, the 2 powerful existences' expressions turned cold. How dare they? It is true that our arcane art sect is currently in a crisis, but we are not to be humiliated by any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Shakyamuni Luomiao, please be careful in case there is a trap. I think it is better to send someone to probe first. Shakyamuni Zhu Jian cautioned from the side. There is no need. A trap. What kind of trap could there be? These are 2 Golden Elixir realm cultivators. I can kill them with a single palm. Shakyamuni Luomiao sneered. Shakyamuni Zhu Jian felt that his words made sense and did not say anything else. It was only 2 Golden Elixir realm cultivators. To them who had cultivated remarkable abilities, it was indeed a matter of one remarkable ability. Shakyamuni Luomiao's speed was extremely fast. It did not take long for him to appear in front of Xing Hui and Duanmutong. Due to the fact that the true experts of this branch were not easy to stop due to being exposed, Xing Hui and Duanmutong had already advanced to the center of the branch at an extremely fast speed. It could be said to be an extremely inner position. Even if Shakyamuni Luomiao really wanted to attack here, as long as he moved quickly, the outside world would not be able to detect the slightest movement. 2 little bastards, how dare you bully our arcane art sect? Die for me, blade of annihilation. The moment Shakyamuni Luomiao appeared, he did not waste any time talking nonsense with Xing Hui and Duanmutong. He immediately activated his remarkable ability. Countless wind blades that seemed to be formed by the power of space formed a killing vortex that swept towards Xing Hui and Duanmutong in an instant. In the next moment, these 2 golden elixir realm cultivators would be crushed into pieces. Chapter 571. The Blade of Annihilation could be considered as one of the more powerful supernatural powers. It was more than enough to kill 2 golden elixir realm cultivators. In particular, in order to ensure that nothing would go wrong, Shakyamuni Luomiao had used his supernatural powers the moment he appeared. It could be considered a sneak attack. A mighty figure of the divinity realm using a divine ability to sneak attack 2 golden core cultivators, the result was already foreseeable. Unfortunately, what he didn't know was that his sneak attack was not an ordinary golden core cultivator at all. Moreover, this golden core cultivator had already seen all of his movements with the aura examination art. Almost at the moment he appeared and used his divine ability, Tsing Hui's figure suddenly flashed and dodged the killing power of the divine ability. Then, the Scarlet Abyss sword appeared. Clang! A resonant sword hum shook the sky. A dazzling light illuminated the surroundings. Amidst the dazzling light, the Scarlet Abyss sword's shadow was mixed with a towering and blazing sword will. It directly reflected on the mental world of Dharma King Luomiao, who still had a sneer on his face. Caught off guard, his mind shook violently. His stable mental world seemed to be like snow exposed to the scorching sun, quickly melting away. The reaction brought about by the annihilation of his mind made him scream in pain. At the same time he screamed, the Scarlet Abyss sword light had already descended on his body. The series of movements were so fast that Dharma King Luomiao, who thought that killing 2 golden core cultivators would be easy, was caught off guard. Not good. However, Dharma King Luomiao was an almighty who had derived God art for many years. He had been through hundreds of battles in his life. The moment he sensed the danger, he reacted quickly. He unleashed his God art at the brilliant sword light and retreated at full speed. At the same time, he roared, "Almighty! It's a mighty figure!" Rumble. The sword light dissipated. Dharma King Luomiao, who had hurriedly used his divine ability, could not block all of the brilliant sword shadows slashed by Tsing Hui's Scarlet Abyss sword. More than a dozen sword lights, which were mixed with blazing flames and terrifying sword will, pierced through Dharma King Luomiao's body, leaving more than a dozen charred holes in his body. The intense pain made him pale, but fortunately, he managed to escape from Qing Su's range of attack in the end. He only needed to hold on to his last breath and rush towards Guardian King Zhu Jian to meet up with him. With the combined strength of the 2 of them, they would still be able to turn the situation around. Seal. Spatial division. However, just when he was about to charge towards Protector King Zhu Jian and when he saw Protector King Zhu Jian rushing over as reinforcements, a barrier that shone with light immediately enveloped the entire core region of the branch. Afterwards, all the space within the region was locked onto by the Qing Ruins technique using the aura examination technique, splitting it up layer by layer. In that instance, the region that the soul could not sense was split into one region, the remaining golden core experts were split into another region, the outer members were split into another region, and Luo Miao and Zhu Jian were split into another region. This is, Dharma King Luomiao, who was retreating, was blocked by the power of the Lihan Heaven realm. He could not retreat, especially when he saw the screen of light that separated him from Dharma King Zhu Jian and the others. He could not help but widen his eyes in shock and anger. The Lihan Heaven realm. The Lihan Heaven realm. It's the Lihan Heaven realm of the Lihan Holy Man. Are you from the way of the heavens? What answered him was Qing Su's second dazzling streak of light without any hesitation. Ah! The way of the heavens. Fully aware that he would not be able to smash through the parting heaven world in a short amount of time with his current strength, Dharma King Luomiao roared out furiously and twisted around. He completely ignored his injuries and used a powerful ability. Thousands of wind blades formed a huge vortex of destruction, clashing with the Scarlet Abyss sword's light. At that moment, wind blades and sword chi shot out in all directions, crashing against the barrier of light from the parting heaven world. Even a powerful treasure like the parting heaven world dimmed slightly as it circulated. I have not completely mastered the Lihan Heaven Realm, and I cannot use the full power of this treasure that belongs to the Lihan Holy Man. Dharma King Zhu Jian is attacking the Lihan Heaven Realm with all his strength, and I do not have enough means to contain Dharma King Zhu Jian. If this continues, Dharma King Zhu Jian will tear through the barrier of the Lihan Heaven Realm and meet up with Luomiao. I have to end this quickly. As he thought of this, a cold light flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. The deep scarlet sword in his hand brewed a terrifying power. When it reached its peak, it exploded like a falling sun, bringing with it a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth as it slashed towards Dharma King Luomiao. Sun burst. Holy King Luo Miao's expression changed drastically when he sensed the terrifying power contained within the sword, which was close to the level of a grand divine ability. He quickly retreated, intending to avoid the divine ability. But, the Lihan Heaven Realm was not as simple as just setting up a battlefield. As Xing Hui changed his mind, the battlefield that belonged to him and Dharma King Luomiao in the Lihan Heaven Realm shrank continuously. In an instant, Dharma King Luomiao had nowhere to run. Even though the power of the sun burst sword would still shake the Lihan Heaven Realm and damage the power of the Lihan Heaven Realm, but, this was the best way to secure victory. Ah! Unable to escape, Dharma King Luomiao let out a roar of despair. He could only use all his strength to attack with his strongest Abhijna. But ordinary Abhijna was ordinary. No matter how refined an Abhijna was, ordinary Abhijna could not compare to a great Abhijna. Just like how 10,000 kilograms of cotton could not destroy a 1 kilogram piece of steel. The sword of sun burst sword light slashed down by the deep scarlet sword collided with the vortex of wind blades that was strangling the void. As a strong light spread like the explosion of the sun, the blade of annihilation that Dharma King Luomiao had used all his strength to attack collapsed. After destroying the blade of annihilation, the sword of sun burst sword light did not stop at all. It slashed down with a loud bang and slashed at Dharma King Luomiao's body. For a moment, endless light and brilliant sword were wantonly swept out in all directions. In that dazzling sword light, one could vaguely hear Dharma King Luomiao's final roar of resentment and despair. Heavenly Tao. No! Dharma King Juejian, who was attacking the Lihan Heaven Realm, cried out in grief. In the next moment, his attacks became even more violent. In addition, the sword of sun burst's power was absorbed by the Lihan Heaven Realm, causing the light of the Lihan Heaven Realm to rapidly dim. In a breath's time, Dharma King Juejian had carved a hole in the Lihan Heaven Realm. After that, he did not choose to fight Xing Hui. Instead, he flew as fast as he could toward the area that Xing Hui's primordial spirit could not detect. I can't let him put the Scarlet Sun Demon God into his personal space. A cold light flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. His gaze swept across the Lihan Heaven Realm. The light of the Lihan Heaven Realm had already dimmed. It was not impossible to activate it again, but in this way, one careless mistake could lead to the ultimate destruction of this supreme treasure. The Scarlet Sun Demon God, I must have it. A cold light flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. Heaven Splitter burst forth at full speed. His entire body was like a stream of light exploding. He moved later but arrived first, intercepting Dharma King Juejian before he could reach the area that his primordial spirit could not detect. Then, the deep scarlet sword appeared. Scram! Dharma King Juejian growled. Although his understanding and application of divine powers was inferior to Dharma King Luo Miao and Dharma King Achu, who was known as the second most powerful person on the meteorite continent, he was still a being who had reached the divine powers realm many years ago. As his divine powers burst forth, a dazzling blaze wantonly spread and turned into the shadow of a divine phoenix. It roared as if it wanted to burn all space and Yuan Qi in front of it to ashes. Phoenix. Slash. Xing Hui growled. The dazzling blaze and brilliant sword will on the Scarlet Abyss sword collided head-on with Dharma King Juejian's phoenix shadow in the void. Without the morning celestial realm to bear the brunt of this collision, it immediately formed a terrifying torrent visible to the naked eye. Mixed with an annihilating heatwave, it destroyed all the courtyards, pavilions, and palaces in this branch with an unstoppable force. The tall and luxurious buildings were like fragile tofu in front of the spreading shockwave, destroyed with a single strike. The remaining force of the shockwave continued to spread in all directions, wiping out everything in this branch. Apart from a few golden core and never-ending experts who managed to escape by retreating at the first moment, the remaining ordinary cultivators were directly killed. With all the surrounding buildings destroyed, the Scarlet Sun Demon God, who was protected by layers of formations and treasures, as well as the workers who were working around him, were immediately exposed to everyone's vision. The Scarlet Sun Demon God. Xing Hui and Duan Mutong's gazes were immediately drawn to the tall machine that was nearly 3 meters tall and had circular sword wings on its back. It really is the Scarlet Sun Demon God. The Scarlet Sun Demon God is actually in this unknown branch. Disbelief was written all over Duan Mutong's face. The fact that the great elder of the Qing Su ruins was not staying on the Mountain of Truth and was running all over the place had already made him rather anxious. After all, no one knew when the great existences would launch an attack. Once the Mountain of Truth was breached, and the great elder of the Qing Su ruins would not be able to move the Scarlet Sun Demon God into his personal space in time, it would not be easy for him to retrieve the treasure. There were many times when Duan Mutong had almost failed to stop himself from advising the great elder of the Qing Su ruins. He did not expect the situation to turn around and Xing Hui would actually dig out the real Scarlet Sun Demon God in this unknown branch. This was simply unimaginable. Sun burst. Just as Duan Mutong was shocked by the appearance of the Scarlet Sun Demon God, Xing Hui's shout sounded again. Sun burst. The second sword, Sun burst. He knew very well that if he wanted to obtain the Scarlet Sun Demon God, Shakyamuni Zhu Jian was an unavoidable obstacle. Only by killing Shakyamuni Zhu Jian could he truly take the Scarlet Sun Demon God for himself. Quick! Inform the first Shakyamuni Zhu Jian to take the Scarlet Sun Demon God away. Shakyamuni Zhu Jian roared angrily at the survivors, and at the same time raised his head to the sky. The aura all over his body soared to an unprecedented peak, and above his head, a phoenix phantom completely appeared, spreading its wings and soaring. Then, ignoring Xing Hui's sunburst sword, he controlled it to pounce towards Xing Hui. He could tell that the power of Xing Hui's sunburst sword was not inferior to a great divine ability. Relying on the power of his divine ability, he had no chance of winning. The only way to break out of this situation was to attack instead of defend, to fight with his life. He ignored Xing Hui's sunburst sword and directly attacked Xing Hui himself, forcing Xing Hui to raise his sword to help. In this way, Xing Hui's sunburst terrifying strike would be destroyed, and he could also use this method to buy more time. Attack instead of defend. Fight with your life. Xing Hui glanced at the several Golden Core experts who were about to leave with the Scarlet Sun Demon God, and his eyes flashed. How many lives do you have to fight with me? He activated the backtracking technique. The sunburst sword did not change at all. Carrying the power of a falling star and destroying heaven and earth, it struck Shakyamuni Zhu Jian's body. And almost at the same time, the phoenix formed by Shakyamuni Zhu Jian's divine ability swallowed down with torrential flames, completely engulfing Xing Hui's imposing figure standing in the void and burning it to ashes. Chapter 572. Let's go. Take the Scarlet Sun Demon God and leave. The 4 Golden Core Realm experts, 6 Eternal Realm experts, and more than 10 researchers who were lucky enough to survive shouted at the same time and retreated at once. No matter who you are, when our arcane cult completes the refinement of the Scarlet Sun Demon God and successfully activates it, you will all face the revenge of our arcane cult. Today's grudge will be avenged in the future. With angry roars, everyone rose into the air at the same time and flew towards the Mountain of Truth. Oh no, they're escaping. Duan Mutong ignored the difference in their cultivation and rode his sword as quickly as he could to intercept the group of people. However, before he could stop the Golden Core and never-ending experts of the arcane cult, he already sensed violent might erupting behind him. He had personally witnessed Qing Su being swallowed by Shakyamuni's ability, the power of the phoenix, in a single stroke. The two of them had died together, disintegrating into nothingness. This result made Duanmutong's eyes widen. He could not believe what he had just seen. Grand Supreme Elder, how could he? On the other hand, the people of the arcane cult cheered at the same time as they were grieving. Dead, dead. The thief who conspired against our arcane cult's Scarlet Sun Demon God is dead. Shakyamuni, our arcane cult will forever remember your contributions to the arcane cult. Although that thief is dead, there's still one left. Let's attack together and kill him completely. As long as we kill him and destroy the evidence, no one will know the true location of the Scarlet Sun Demon God. The Golden Core Realm and Eternal Realm cultivators who were originally planning to escape stopped running. They turned back and charged towards Duanmutong. Damn it! Grand Supreme Elder can't be dead. Absolutely not. Duanmutong growled out. He completely ignored the battlefield that was still filled with scorching heat. He charged towards the surging flames as soon as possible, as if he wanted to save Qing Su. Stop him. Revenge. Avenge Shakyamuni Juejian. Blood for blood. The people of the arcane cult roared. They broke through the air on their swords and caught up with Duanmutong in an instant. A 1 versus 4 battle was about to start. However, just as the battle was about to erupt, a figure suddenly appeared in the blazing flames. Before the many Golden Core experts of the arcane sect could react, that figure seemed to have turned into a dazzling sword light. A majestic sword shadow mixed with a blazing intent swept up a radiance that could almost melt spiritual worlds. It fiercely shone on the spiritual worlds of the 4 Golden Core experts, igniting all of their spiritual worlds. This sort of soul-burning pain caused these 4 Golden Core realm experts to let out shrill cries of pain at the same time, and they were utterly unable to do anything else. Bang! 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 Taking advantage of this opportunity, the figure that appeared from the flames transformed into a stream of light and instantly struck the 4 Golden Core stage experts, knocking them unconscious at the same time. Watch them! With a flash of light, the figure appeared. It was none other than Xinghui. Supreme Elder. Seeing Xinghui, Duanmutong's eyes flashed with ecstasy. Yes! Swoosh! In the next moment, Xinghui's speed exploded once again. The moment he soared through the air with his sword intent was activated. His entire person seemed to have turned into a sun that illuminated the world. Endless light and heat poured out from his body endlessly, mixed with a soul-burning charm that attacked their spiritual worlds. In an instant, other than a few cultivators with strong spirits and tenacity, everyone screamed incessantly. Even those cultivators with strong spirits and tenacity could barely withstand Xinghui's brilliant sword intent. However, when Xinghui's true body arrived, his sword chi swept out and quickly defeated them. Not long after, the 4 Golden Core Realm experts, 6 Eternal Realm experts, and 34 Transformative Realm, True Energy Realm, and prominent Divine Realm cultivators who were lucky enough to survive were all captured alive. Among them, the Scarlet Sun Demon God was in the hands of a Golden Core Realm old man who was in charge of scientific research. Supreme Elder. Although Duanmutong did not understand how Xinghui had come back from the dead after being reduced to ashes, this did not affect his respect for Xinghui. A great battle just broke out here. Before long, it will definitely attract the attention of others. Let's leave first. As Xinghui spoke, he shook his right hand and knocked out all the captured people. Then, he put them into his personal space. You enter my personal space as well. I'll leave as soon as possible. Yes, Supreme Elder. Duanmutong replied respectfully. Xinghui nodded. After putting him into his personal space, he leapt up and flew at full speed. With a series of ear-piercing explosions, he left this mountainous area far away. Almost at the same time as he left this area, in the ruins of the branch, a heavily injured transformative realm cultivator opened his eyes. Looking at the flattened branch and the two Dharma kings who had died tragically, his eyes immediately revealed a pained expression. Dharma King Eki. I must inform Dharma King Eki of this news. The Scarlet Sun Demon God has already fallen into the hands of those two. Sing Hui flew at full speed on his sword. He was as fast as lightning. 4 hours later, he had already flown tens of thousands of kilometers away from the battlefield. After finding a relatively hidden valley, Sing Hui landed and released Duanmu Tong and the others. I'll leave these people to you. Interrogate them for the chaos mantra and other items. Especially this old man. The Scarlet Sun Demon God is in his possession. No matter what method you use, pry open his mouth and force him to hand over the Scarlet Sun Demon God. Sing Hui handed the old man with the Scarlet Sun Demon God and the cultivators to Duanmu Tong. Don't worry, Supreme Elder. There aren't many people in this world who can truly endure all the punishments. All right. Sing Hui nodded. All that was left was to wait. After spending an entire day, Duanmu Tong arrived before Qing Su rather feebly. Great Elder, these people have all confessed. There are an extremely large number of scions of chaos among them, almost half of them. There are 6 scions of chaos above the 10th step. All right. Sing Hui's eyes lit up slightly. 8 sons of chaos above level 10. That was at least 300 Taoist rhymes. It's a little strange. Logically speaking, the probability of a son of chaos should not be so high. You have to know that apart from those large sects, only 1 in 5 Golden Core realm experts in small and medium-sized factions would possess a chaos level above level 10. Among these people, there are only 4 Golden Core realm experts. However, among the 4 Golden Core realm experts, 3 of them are above level 10. The remaining one is also a level 8 son of chaos. That's quite rare. It's not rare. If I'm not wrong, these Golden Core realm experts, apart from that old man, should all be seated figures of the arcane art sect. Can't you see that they are all rather young? Duanmu Tong immediately came to a realization. Supreme Elder, everything, including the Scarlet Sun Demon God, is here. As Duanmu Tong spoke, he moved out the Scarlet Sun Demon God and many materials used to forge it. These materials are actually enough to forge 2/3 of the second Scarlet Sun Demon God. Unfortunately, whether it's this Scarlet Sun Demon God or the second Scarlet Sun Demon God that has yet to be forged, there's a huge problem. Without the core, it's just an inanimate object that can't be activated. The core of the Scarlet Sun, huh? Sing Hui nodded. Very few people would collect such an item. The collectors would usually have already activated the core of the Scarlet Sun. An activated core of the Scarlet Sun was almost equivalent to a star. It was a sacred cultivation ground for fire attribute cultivators. If one wanted to buy it, the price would be at least 4 digits. The entire arcane art sect might not be able to gather such Taoist rhymes. I'll think of a way to get the core of the Scarlet Sun. Sing Hui kept the Scarlet Sun Demon God. He felt a little regretful. The core of the Scarlet Sun was one of the items that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had spawned previously. It was a pity that he had limited wealth at that time and was unwilling to waste too much Taoist rhymes on that core. Otherwise, the Scarlet Sun Demon God would have been successfully activated. With the Scarlet Sun Demon God in front of him and his own Sword of Sunlight, which was not inferior to a grand mystique attack, he was not afraid of anyone in the 6th realm of saints as long as he did not meet a peak expert who had entered the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. It's a pity that you've killed those 2 almighties. According to those people, Shakyamuni Luomiao and Shakyamuni Zhu Jian have large amounts of precious resources and items that carry Taoist rhymes. The total value is said to be no less than 500 Taoist rhymes. 500 Taoist rhymes. When Sing Hui heard this, he also felt that it was a pity. However, a battle of life and death between almighties could be said to be a flash of lightning. This was especially so for a fake almighty like him who had obvious flaws. If he was not careful, he might even fail miserably. Therefore, when facing Shakyamuni Luomiao and Shakyamuni Zhu Jian, he had no choice but to give it his all. Capture Almighties alive? He did not have the ability to do so now. Alright, you may leave. Help me guard the surroundings and do not let anyone come near. As Tsing Hui spoke, he walked towards the unconscious arcane sect cultivators who were under Duanmutong's control. Yes, Grand Supreme Elder. Duanmutong left respectfully. The blossoming moment immortal technique was extremely evil and could be called the demonic Tao. Back then, the Netherworld sect had been besieged by 3 great sects because of this immortal technique. They were even viewed as enemies by the other great sections. Now, Tsing Hui had no choice but to use the blossoming moment in order to achieve the full circle of golden core. However, this did not mean that he was willing to let everyone know about this. Therefore, he had sent Duanmutong away before using this immortal technique. Survival of the fittest, Tsing Hui looked at the unconscious arcane sect cultivators who still had painful expressions on their faces and sighed inwardly, passing away while unconscious can lessen your pain slightly. With that, he waved his hand and the blossoming moment was unleashed. The first target was a golden core cultivator. As Tsing Hui used his own essence, qi, and spirit as a guide, a 7-colored flower formed and seeped into the golden core cultivator's body. This golden core cultivator's essence, qi, and spirit were rapidly devoured by the 7-colored flower. The efficiency and strength of the devouring were much faster than the entry-level blossoming moment. Not long after, a Tao fruit completely condensed from the golden core realm cultivator's essence, qi, and spirit had already formed above the golden core realm cultivator. Having lost his essence, qi, and spirit, the golden core realm cultivator was like flying ash, blown by the wind, and turned into nothingness. A Tao fruit at the golden core realm, Tsing Hui summoned the Scarlet Abyss sword. The power of the Tao fruit was immediately refined into the Scarlet Abyss sword, causing the golden core of the Scarlet Abyss sword to become even more condensed and powerful. After a moment, Tsing Hui opened his eyes. There was a terrifying glint in his eyes. This effect has already reached 1/10 of a golden crow's inner core. Chapter 573. The inner core was equivalent to 1/3 of the energy in a divine beast's body. However, the most powerful aspect of divine beasts and sacred beasts was not the energy stored in their bodies, but their powerful bodies and innate talents. That was why the price of 1 or 2 portions of blood essence was more expensive than their golden cores. As for the blossoming of the flower, it would draw out all the essence, qi, and soul of a Jindan cultivator and condense it into a single point to form a fruit of the way. It was equivalent to the essence of a Jindan cultivator. Even if the conversion rate was not 100%, it was at least 90%. It was precisely because of this that the corpses of Jindan cultivators would turn to dust after the conversion was completed. Therefore, it was not strange for a golden core practitioner's Tao fruit to contain 1/10 of the energy of a golden crow's inner core. The moment the flower blooms, it consumes 1/10 of my essence, energy, and spirit. Due to my 10th order recovery ability, the loss of 1/10 of my essence, energy, and spirit can be replenished in 4 to 6 hours. Even if I don't supplement it with rest and meditation techniques, 12 to 12 hours should be enough. In other words, if I can obtain enough golden core level Tao fruits, Tsing Hui's eyes lit up. 4 months. In less than 4 months, his sovereign golden core would reach the Great Circle. The Great Circle of the golden core would give birth to remarkable powers. Once he was able to give birth to remarkable powers, even if they were of a lower grade, his battle prowess would reach the pinnacle of the saint level. With that thought, Tsing Hui did not waste any more time. He used the blossoming instant to convert the remaining 3 golden core practitioners into Tao fruits and refine them. In an instant, the radiance on his sovereign golden core was much brighter than before. Very good. Tsing Hui slightly recovered his essence, energy, and spirit before turning his gaze to another never-ending practitioner. However, after refining the Tao fruit condensed from the never-ending practitioner's essence, energy, and spirit, he frowned slightly. The energy contained in the Tao fruit of a never-ending practitioner is not even 1/10 of that of a golden core practitioner. Every time the instant of blooming flower was used, it required 1/10 of the user's essence, energy, and spirit. If it failed, the user's essence, energy, and spirit would be wasted. This was also the reason why Tsing Hui was so tired and pale after failing to use the instant of blooming flower on Gupo. Now that he knew that a golden core expert had 10 times more energy than a never-ending realm expert, and that the consumption of blossoming instant was the same for both of them, he was no longer willing to exhaust his essence, energy, and spirit to use blossoming instant on a never-ending realm cultivator. About 300 golden core cultivators are needed, Tsing Hui calculated in his mind. 300 golden core cultivators. If it was in the past, it wouldn't be easy to gather all of them. But now, it wouldn't be long before the arcane sect and the native sects of this world would erupt into a great war. Taking advantage of the chaos, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill dozens or even hundreds of golden elixir realm cultivators. As for the remaining 200 or so golden elixir realm cultivators, it wouldn't be too late to think about it later. Duanmu Tong. Tsing Hui called out. Duanmu Tong's figure flashed and appeared in front of Tsing Hui. Grand Elder, what are your orders? Go to the Primordial Trade Union and inform them. Use their channels and see if they can find out the whereabouts of the Great Sun Core. All right. Duanmu Tong naturally understood why Tsing Hui wanted to find out about the Great Sun Core. After a while, he said, however, the arcane sect has been searching for the whereabouts of the Great Sun Core for many years without any useful information. If we want to obtain the Great Sun Core in a short period of time, I'm afraid it'll be a little difficult. Moreover, if we're too enthusiastic about the Great Sun Core, people might link it to us and speculate that the Scarlet Sun demonic god is in our hands. That's a problem, but you don't have to worry too much. I have Tianqiong behind me. Even if people know that the Scarlet Sun demonic god is in my hands, those venerated divine realm experts won't dare to openly snatch it. Even those lawful embodiment of heaven and earth experts have status. If they aren't afraid of Tianqiong killing them, they won't dare to provoke me. As for ordinary experts, we'll only know the outcome after the battle. Therefore, you can just ask around. You don't even need to hide. That would only make it more conspicuous. Your subordinate understands. I'll inform the Chamber of Commerce right away. Tsing Hui nodded. I don't only have the Scarlet Sun demonic god now. I also have 2/3 of the refining materials for the second Scarlet Sun demonic god. Therefore, I plan to go to the arcane sect's Mount Veritas to see if I can collect the materials for the second Scarlet Sun demonic god. If I can forge 2 Scarlet Sun demonic gods, then it'll be truly foolproof. However, entering the arcane sect's headquarters on Mount Veritas is unavoidable. By then, there will be many divine realm experts. To prevent any accidents from happening, you should find a place to hide for the time being. I'll find you after I've dealt with the arcane sect. Duanmu Tong knew that his golden elixir realm strength would only lead to death if he interfered in the battle with the arcane sect. Therefore, he nodded tactfully. Don't worry, Grand Supreme Elder. I'll protect myself well and definitely won't cause any trouble for you. Tsing Hui nodded. He immediately mounted his sword and flew towards Mount Veritas. While Tsing Hui was flying towards Mount Veritas, the arcane sect in Mount Veritas had also received news from the surviving transformative realm expert from the Chaos Shrine. When he received this news, a chakra, who had originally prepared to hold everyone back with his life to buy time for Shakyamuni Luo Mao and Shakyamuni Juejian to forge the Scarlet Sun demonic god, immediately went berserk. No matter who you are, no matter what your identity is, no matter where you go, even to the ends of the earth, I'll definitely find you and avenge the 2 Shakyamuni of the arcane sect. Gather all the cultivators of the arcane sect and spread the news that the Scarlet Sun demonic god has fallen into that person's hands. Shakyamuni, I'm afraid that those people won't believe it. The leader of the arcane sect, Ao Xian, who was at the Golden Elixir realm, said with a sorrowful expression. Everything is my fault. If I hadn't wanted the arcane sect to forge the Scarlet Sun demonic god, the arcane sect wouldn't have become the target of public criticism and fallen to such a state. Shakyamuni, you can't be blamed for this, Ao Xian hurriedly said. Now that things have come to this, the great plan of the arcane sect has failed. What we need to do now is to make the person who ruined the great plan of the arcane sect pay the price. The mysterious expert who killed Luo Mao and Shakyamuni must be an almighty from the outside. I don't believe that the other major sects will turn a blind eye to these almighty from the outside flaunting their prowess on the meteoric iron continent. Ao Xian, contact the leaders of the other major sects immediately. If anyone wants the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, get them to come to my personal space to talk privately with me. Are we really going to hand over the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god? Currently, the only way to unite the other major sects is to use the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god as a foundation. Only then can we hope to find the culprit who killed Shakyamuni Luo Mao and Shakyamuni Jiujin Shakyamuni Luo Mao and help the arcane sect tide over this crisis. A trace of pain flashed across Ao Xian's face when he heard this. The arcane sect had sacrificed too much for the Scarlet Sun demonic god, and now, everything was for naught. For this, they had even paid the price of 2 Shakyamuni Luomao's lives. This time, the arcane sect could be said to have suffered a crushing defeat. Go, the inheritance of the arcane sect is more important than anything else. Yes. With a trace of pain, Ao Xian quickly entered the Chaos Temple and contacted the 7 major forces outside the arcane sect, the Ancient Shrine, the Divine Refining Clan, the Star Jade Sect, the Sage Evolution Dynasty, the Secluded Valley, the Cast Gold Mountain, and the Azure Wave Mansion. Not long after, the 7 major forces had each sent an almighty representative and several Golden Elixir realm higher-ups to Shakyamuni Eccentric's personal space. Each of them looked at Shakyamuni Eccentric, who was waiting there with a strange expression. Shakyamuni Eccentric, I heard that the arcane sect does not intend to monopolize the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god and has decided to contribute this refining method to benefit the entire meteorite iron continent. The Heavenly Cycle Star Lord of the Star Jade sect asked immediately. Although the Star Jade sect was ranked 4th among the 8 major sects, they only had 2 almighties in the sect. As compared to the Ancient Shrine, the Arcane Sect, and the Divine Refining Clan, they were slightly weaker. Originally, their hopes of getting the Scarlet Sun demonic god were slim. Now that there was a chance to get the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, they naturally could not wait. That's right. The Scarlet Sun demonic god is the refining method created by the strongest force in the meteorite iron continent, the Scarlet Sun cult. It is the property of the meteorite iron continent and naturally belongs to the meteorite iron continent. Only when every major sect in the meteorite iron continent has 2 to 3 Scarlet Sun demonic gods, the sects in the meteorite iron continent will not be bullied by the experts from the other continents and will not be controlled by the large-scale chaotic organizations in the heaven wasteland world. Shakyamuni Eccentric said in a deep voice. Alright, Shakyamuni Eccentric, I can promise you that if the arcane sect is willing to hand over the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, the people in the ancient shrine will retreat immediately and never invade the Truth Mountain again. Real God Tian Ping of the ancient shrine said solemnly. After the Sacred Evolution Empire obtains the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, we will retreat too. As for the Secluded Valley, as long as Shakyamuni Eccentric is willing to hand over the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, the Secluded Valley will never invade the Truth Mountain again. The other forces also expressed their stance one after another. If the 7 big sects were to snatch the Scarlet Sun demonic god from the hands of the arcane sect along with the almighties from the other continents, not only would it lead to a war, it would also lead to the death of a large number of experts in the sections. In the end, they might even miss the opportunity to obtain the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god because there was only one Scarlet Sun demonic god. In such a situation, if they could obtain the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god without any losses, it would obviously be the best outcome. I naturally believe in all of you. If you want the arcane sect to hand over the refining method of the Scarlet Sun demonic god, I have a condition. Please speak, Shakyamuni eccentric. Real God Tian Ping said. The ancient shrine was the number one force in the meteorite iron land. As an almighty in the ancient shrine, real God Tian Ping's words naturally carried the most weight. I want all of you to kill 2 people on behalf of the arcane sect. If anyone can find the whereabouts of these 2 people, the arcane sect is willing to provide a portion of the refining materials of the Scarlet Sun demonic god. If anyone can capture these 2 people alive and hand them over to me for punishment, the arcane sect is even willing to hand over the Scarlet Sun demonic god that is about to be refined. Shakyamuni eccentric said coldly. What he said instantly lit up everyone's eyes at the same time. Who are you looking for? Please speak, Shakyamuni eccentric. If we know where these people are hiding, we will definitely inform Shakyamuni eccentric immediately. That's right. That's right. Although the 8 big sects of the meteorite iron land have conflicts with each other, we should still try our best to remain united when dealing with outsiders. The representatives of the few big sects nodded one after another. Shakyamuni eccentric didn't waste any time and he immediately passed the image that the transformative realm expert had given to the representatives of the 7 big sects, these 2 people. Huh. Looking at the 2 figures that Shakyamuni eccentric had presented, the eyes of the almighty of the divine smelting sect, Shakyamuni Saint Shakyamuni, who hadn't spoken much all this while as they were enemies with the arcane sect, suddenly lit up. It's actually these 2 thieves. They actually dared to behave atrociously in the meteorite iron land. How dare they? Chapter 574. Sacred Master Shaoguang, do you know these 2 people? Hearing Sacred Master Shaoguang blurt out, Dharma King Aksu could not wait to ask. That's right. I have met these 2 people once. Sacred Master Shaoguang's expression was a little ugly. After hesitating for a moment, he said, My divine refining sect has a chamber of commerce called Great Furnace. This Chamber of Commerce is a large sea-crossing chamber of commerce specially funded by our divine refining sect. It is responsible for overseas trade, but it was completely wiped out when it went to an ordinary medium-sized continent called the Eastern Wilderness. At that time, I had also sent down my main battle avatar to help, but it was defeated by this child. According to our later investigation, this child is a native cultivator of that world. As for his cultivation, he has not reached the divine power realm. Hearing Sacred Master Shaoguang's words, Sacred Master Xuan Xiong from Cast Gold Mountain looked at Sacred Master Shaoguang in surprise. It was no wonder that the divine refining sect had not been active in the recent period of time when the arcane art sect was clearly being targeted by everyone. They did not immediately become the leader and lead many experts to attack the arcane art sect. It turned out that it was because one of Sacred Master Shaoguang's main battle avatars had been defeated. The weakening effect brought about by the defeat of the main battle avatar could not be underestimated. In a short period of time, the divine refining sect had lost the battle strength of an almighty. Compared to the arcane art sect, they were already at a disadvantage. It was reasonable for them to temporarily disappear. Not at the divine power realm. How is this possible? Sacred Master Shaoguang's words shocked Dharma King Aksu. Sacred Master Shaoguang, have you seen clearly that this person's cultivation is really not at the almighty level? Dharmaraja, please let me finish. Although this scoundrel has not reached the almighty realm, I guess that the quality of his Jindan must be extraordinary. This is something I could guess from the fact that I could not detect the aura of the Jindan realm from him. At first, I thought that it was because he had cracked his Jindan, but after I carefully looked into his history and background, I realized that the truth was not as simple as I thought. This child is a personal disciple that Master Zhuzhao had taken in privately. Master Zhuzhao had most likely given him an extremely powerful divine weapon. The power of this divine weapon is probably as great as the Tianqiong sword, allowing him to defeat almighties with the power of a superior or even a supreme Jindan. At this point, Shaoguang's Saint Master said with some grievance, because of his identity and the fact that he destroyed my Great Furnace Chamber of Commerce's team in the Eastern Barren World, my divine smelting clan didn't do anything to him. If it weren't for esteemed Zhu Zhao, the almighty of my divine smelting clan would have made him pay the price for bullying my Chamber of Commerce. Heavenly Torch Venerable Master's disciple. He has a divine weapon of the same level as the Heavenly Sword. The Heavenly Sword. That's a 17th order peerless divine sword. It's said that the wielder of the Heavenly Sword can threaten the gods if he cooperates with others. Esteemed Zhu Zhao is actually willing to give a divine weapon that's almost as precious as the Heavenly Sword to his disciple who's only at the Golden Core stage. It seems that he really values this disciple. Hearing Sacred Master Xiaoguang's words, everyone present could not help but exclaim. Heavenly Torch Venerable Master was one of the top 10 organizations of chaos, and there were 2 divine masters in it. Heavenly Torch Venerable Master was a supreme expert in Heavenly Torch Venerable Master, who was ranked in the top 10 of the entire Infinite Wasteland and even the Divine Wasteland. Not to mention the Divine Refining Sect, the Arcane Spell Sect, and the Ancient Shrine. Even if all the forces of the Meteorite Iron Continent joined forces, they would not be able to defeat Heavenly Torch Venerable Master. In front of such a colossus, the Divine Refining Sect's caravan had to be held back. So what if he is Heavenly Torch Venerable Master? When the powerful figures of the other forces were about to retreat, Master Axes said in a cold voice, "As far as I know, not long ago, the 5 Tao Masters of the Heavenly Tao joined forces to kill Heavenly Torch Venerable Master. Although Heavenly Torch Venerable Master, the Sword Holder, and Sword Master Bai Heng of the White Rainbow Sword Sect helped to resolve the crisis halfway through the plan, Heavenly Torch Venerable Master was seriously injured in that battle. It is estimated that he will need at least half a year to recover. If his injury worsens, it will take him even longer to recover. At present, he does not have enough ability to intervene in the affairs of the Meteorite Iron Continent." Sacred Master Xiaoguang and the others glanced at Master Axu, but did not say anything. Unless they were willing to pledge allegiance to the Heavenly Tao, Divine Wilderness, Eternal, and the other great forces, they would have to be at their beck and call. Otherwise, if they were to attack Heavenly Torch Venerable Master's disciple, it would be the same as challenging Heavenly Torch Venerable Master. Under the circumstances where they had reason and evidence, Heavenly Torch Venerable Master could totally ignore the rules and descend upon the Meteorite Iron Continent. By then, with Heavenly Torch Venerable Master's power, it would be a piece of cake for him to flatten the entire Meteorite Iron Continent. Master Axu understood the crowd's intention at once and he could only settle for the next best thing. He said in a low voice, "Since you do not dare to attack Heavenly Torch Venerable Master's disciple, I will do it. I only need you to drive the other forces and almighties out of the Meteorite Iron Continent. As for the thief named Tsing Hui, the Arcane Art Cult will deal with him personally. After the matter is settled, the Arcane Art Cult will hand over the refining method of the Red Sun Demon God to you with both hands." All right. Hearing what Master Axa had said, Real God Tian Ping agreed without hesitation, "Let's do as Master Axa said." The Black Gold Land, Arc Light Land and the other middle-sized continents have the guts to step foot on the Meteorite Iron Continent to show off their strength. All of them are simply tired of living. It's time for the few big sects to let them know who is in charge of the Meteorite Iron Continent. That's right. These outsiders are really too presumptuous. If we don't drive all of them out and teach them a lesson, they will think that the Meteorite Iron Continent is easy to bully. Master Axu, don't worry. Leave these outsiders to us to deal with. The Arcane Art Cult can focus on your own matters. The other few big sects and forces representatives also agreed one after another. They naturally didn't dare to offend Heavenly Torch Venerable Master. However, if the Arcane Art Cult wanted to go, they wouldn't stop them. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. By then, even if Heavenly Torch Venerable Master really wanted to take revenge for his disciple, he would only look for the Arcane Art Cult and it wouldn't have anything to do with them. Even if the Arcane Art Cult were to be destroyed by Heavenly Torch Venerable Master, there would be many benefits and no harm to the sections. That's it then. If any of you find out the whereabouts of this child, please inform us. Master Axu said. Master Axu, don't worry. If we see the 2 of them, we will inform you immediately. Shakyamuni, don't forget what you've promised us 7 major sections. Otherwise, if you're unwilling to hand over the Scarlet Sun Fiend Celestial after we've chased those outsiders out, the 7 major sects will disregard our friendship and take it ourselves. Master Aksu nodded his head indifferently. Everyone, don't worry. That's good. Everyone discussed the details for a while more and they left the Chaos Temple on their own very quickly. After everyone left, the Master of Arcane Art Cult, Ao Xian, said worriedly, Master Aksu, that little thief has such an identity. If we were to really kill him, I'm afraid that it would really bring a calamity to the entire Arcane Art Cult. A calamity to the entire sect. You're overthinking it. To our arcane cult, this is not only a great disaster, but it can also be considered as an opportunity that will allow our arcane cult to preserve its vitality and prevent us from being swallowed up by other forces after losing 2 almighties. Ao Xian was a little puzzled. Where is this opportunity? The situation in Tianqiong is not as optimistic as you imagine. The esteemed Zhu Zhao's injuries cannot be healed in a short period of time. Even if we really kill his disciple, Xing Hui, and the esteemed Zhu Zhao recovers from his injuries, he may not be able to act against our arcane art cult. Don't forget, he is the stabilizing force of Tianqiong. How could he rashly leave Tianqiong and take action? As for sending ordinary great beings or even peak great beings. A cold light flashed in Master Aksu's eyes. When our arcane art cult truly takes back the Red Sun Demon God, do you think we still need to fear those peak great beings at the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth level? Tianqiong was such a colossus. Ao Xian could not help but feel uneasy about going up against such a colossus. Moreover, don't forget, that Xing Hui is suspected to have a 16th level divine weapon. If he really uses the power of the 16th level divine weapon to kill Luomiao and Zhu Jian, that means that when we kill him, not only will we obtain the Red Sun Demon God, but we will also obtain this 16th level divine weapon. At that time, with the power of this 16th level divine weapon, would our arcane art cult fear any expert below the divine stage? 16th level divine weapon. Ao Xian's eyes lit up slightly when he heard this. This is a huge gamble. Once we win, our arcane art cult will truly usher in an opportunity to soar into the sky. Even if we can't achieve the glory of the Red Sun cult that almost unified the meteorite iron continent, we can still surpass the ancient shrine and become the #1 sect on the meteorite iron continent. As for what would happen if the gamble failed, Master Aksu did not say and Ao Xian did not need to ask. Everyone was well aware. Alright, go quickly. Find out Xing Hui's whereabouts as quickly as possible. This is the most critical moment for our arcane art cult. We can't afford any more delays. Master Aksu said coldly. Yes. Ao Xian responded solemnly and quickly did as he was told. The arcane art cult was the local tyrant of the meteorite iron continent. Even if their forces had shrunk to the Mountain of Truth and could not be investigated, they still had many eyes and ears. In addition, from the second day onwards, the other 7 sacred sects suddenly launched a war of expulsion against all external forces. As a result, the arcane art cult was no longer trapped in one place and their influence spread without restraint. Finally, on the 3rd day, a piece of news regarding Xing Hui was delivered to Master Aksu. A cold glint flashed in Master Aksu's eyes when he read this piece of news. How bold of him to not leave after killing 2 of our arcane art cult's great guardian kings and obtaining the Scarlet Sun Demon God. Instead, he wants to go one step further and annihilate our arcane art cult. He's simply courting death. Master Aksu, according to our investigation, this boy has a 12th grade flying sword with him and is extremely fast. If we're not careful, we'll probably let him escape. If we want to kill him, we'll have to set up a trap and trap him. Only then can we win with a single strike. Ao Xian said. A trap. Dharma King Acu looked at the information in his hand. This lad is greedy. He actually continuously knocked out and captured the golden core experts of my arcane sect. It must be to interrogate them about the primal chaos incantation. This trap can be used from this aspect. Although my arcane sect's foundation is mediocre, we still have several great formations with astonishing power. Among them, the 8-directional dragon trapping formation can even form an absolute space. If we can lure him into the 8-directional dragon trapping formation, even if his flying sword is only at the 12th grade, he can forget about escaping alive even if his flying sword is at the 13th or 14th grade. Then, Master Axa means, bait. Lure him to death. Chapter 575. The 8 major sects of the meteorite continent have joined forces to expel the foreign forces. Xing Hui shuttled through the battlefield outside the Mountain of Truth with a strange look on his face. Fortunately, there were many experts in the 8 major sects, but the foreign forces were not weak either. Excluding the arcane art cult, there were a total of 20 almighties. Among these almighties, there were originally 5 almighties from the 7 major sects, but with the arrival of 2 more almighties, there were now 7. In other words, the remaining 13 almighties belonged to the foreign forces. Among the 13 almighties, 6 of them were in hiding and had yet to show themselves, causing the 8 major sects to think that there were only 7 almighties present. 7 against 7, including the almighties from the arcane art cult and the many golden core realm cultivators, they thought that it would be easy to expel the almighties. Without waiting for more forces to arrive, they directly attacked the almighties from the foreign forces and issued an ultimatum. This move was like poking a hornet's nest, causing the battlefield to become extremely chaotic. Among them, the 6 great powerhouses hiding in the dark formed 2 groups of 3, directly avoiding the obstruction of the great powerhouses of the other sects and slaughtering their way into the profound art cult. While the formations of the profound art cult were open, they directly killed their way into the profound art cult. They were basically trying to capture the leader, finding the Scarlet Sun demon god first and taking him for themselves. Under these circumstances, Qing Su obviously followed the chaotic groups into the Truth Mountain. Every few days, he would find an opportunity to heavily injure a Golden Core realm expert, knocking them unconscious and controlling them before directly putting them into his personal space. In just a few moments, the number of Golden Core realm experts captured alive by him had reached 22. Very good, the progress of the perfected Golden Core realm is nearly 1/10 complete. Xing Hui's figure shuttled back and forth. He had cultivated the upright shadowless art. Even though he had only just reached the entry level, it had greatly reduced his presence. Even if he was targeted, as long as he avoided the battlefield, his enemies would instinctively not want to waste time on him. In addition, the aura he emitted was only at the level of the Golden Elixir realm, so the powerful figures of the other great sects were not willing to attack him. Without the obstruction of the powerful figures, he was like a fish in water in this chaotic battle, free and easy. Of course, what he didn't know was that the main reason why the almighties of the other sects didn't deal with him personally was because they were afraid of his background and his identity as Master Zhu Zhao's personal disciple. Damn it. The elders of my arcane art cult must not be sacrificed in vain. A mere Golden Core cultivator dares to act so presumptuously in my arcane art cult. Allow me to personally kill him. At this time, a fierce shout suddenly came from Xing Hui's side, and at the same time, the auras of more than a dozen Golden Core stage experts swept over. These dozen or so Golden Elixir realm experts were obviously led by a man who appeared to be less than 30 years old. That man originally wanted to stop Xing Hui, but he was firmly restrained by the dozen or so Golden Elixir realm cultivators around him. During this process, there was a dispute, which attracted Xing Hui's attention. Not good, he found out. Let's go. Young Hierarch, this man is extraordinary. He must have cultivated an upper-grade Golden Core. You must not risk your life. You are the future seed of our arcane art sect, the young Hierarch. You are someone above the 20th level of the chaotic plane. If you were to be killed by him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Let's leave this place first and meet up with the Hierarch. The few Golden Elixir realm elders growled and led the man who was addressed as the young Hierarch into the depths of the arcane art cult without any explanation. Young Hierarch? Hierarch? Sing Hui's gaze swept across the dozen or so people, and a glint flashed across his eyes. A young hierarch, a hierarch-level figure, should have quite a lot of good stuff on him. If I can capture him alive, not only can I increase my cultivation, I can also obtain quite a lot of treasures. Why not? Sing Hui didn't know what was going on, so he chased after them. After chasing for a short while, Sing Hui sensed that something was amiss, and his expression changed slightly. No one has come to stop me. Could it be a trap? Forget it, even if the Scarlet Sun Demon God's materials were to be kept, they shouldn't be on the hierarch. After all, the hierarch of the arcane art sect must always appear in front of others to convince the almighties outside that the arcane art sect's Dharma King Luo Miao, Dharma King Zhu Jian, and the others are still in the arcane art sect. From the looks of it, the hierarch is probably a pawn that is prepared to be sacrificed. Since he's prepared to be sacrificed, he naturally wouldn't leave anything too precious on him. Even if I capture him alive, there won't be many benefits. When he thought of that, Qing Su turned around and charged towards the outskirts. It was better for him to follow the six almighties who had barged into the mountain of truth and take advantage of the situation. As if sensing Sing Hui's intention to retreat, dozens of Golden Elixir Realm cultivators rushed out from the arcane art sect. These people seemed to be heading to the front line as reinforcements. When they saw Sing Hui, their faces lit up with joy. Each of them shouted and rushed forward, surrounding him with all their might to kill him. Just in time. Sing Hui had a faint smile on his face as he met the Golden Elixir Realm cultivators head-on. Summoning the Scarlet Abyss Sword, the sword light whistled and instantly pierced through the bodies of 4 Golden Elixir Realm cultivators. The brilliant sword intent mixed with the sword light slashed into the bodies of the 6 Golden Elixir Realm cultivators, severely injuring them on the spot. Then, he extended his personal space and enveloped the 4 Golden Elixir Realm cultivators. The divine sword in his hand is too powerful. We can't stop it. Retreat. Retreat. Retreat quickly. The Vice Hierarch is presiding over the formation at the back. The Vice Hierarch is a top son of chaos who has mastered several levels of the divine art. We can use the formation to concentrate our strength on the Vice Hierarch and let him use the might of the divine art to defeat this boy and rescue the elders who were just captured by him. Leave quickly, don't fight recklessly. The Golden Elixir Realm elders cried out at the same time. After sensing Sing Hui's strength, they quickly retreated into the arcane sect. Sing Hui stepped forward once more and gave chase for a moment. After capturing 3 Golden Elixir Realm cultivators alive, he immediately felt that something was amiss. What's going on? Even though these Golden Elixir Realm cultivators are fighting with me, the feeling they give me is that they're trying to lure me into the arcane cult. With that in mind, Sing Hui didn't dare to advance recklessly. He activated his Qi observation technique and looked in the direction where the Golden Elixir elders had retreated. What he saw was a pillar of Qi that was slightly stronger than that of Shakyamuni Luomiao and Shakyamuni Jiujin Shakyamuni. It seemed to be waiting for him to fall into a trap. To possess such a powerful aura within the arcane art sect. Dharma King Iko Su. He is the #1 expert of the arcane sect, Dharma King Eccentric. He is also the #2 expert on the meteorite iron continent, second only to the celestial phenomenon of heaven and earth, Radiant Flame God King. Sing Hui's expression was grave. Not only was Dharma King Iko Su, a peak divine power realm expert, waiting for him to fall into a trap, the Yuan Qi around him had also become distorted and chaotic. Even the laws of space were disturbed and affected to a certain extent. Clearly, there must be a powerful formation there. Once he stepped into the formation, the other party would be able to activate the formation and close off the space. When that time came, he would have to rely on a large number of variables to escape. Dharma King Iko Su actually set up a formation to lure me into a trap. Could it be, when I destroyed the arcane art sect's branch, there were still some survivors who slipped through the net? Sing Hui immediately thought of this problem. If there were any survivors in that branch, they would definitely have informed Dharma King Iko-Su of his strength and the news of the Scarlet Sun Demon God. It was precisely because of this that Dharma King Iko-Su had set up an ambush for him. Furthermore, all the outsiders are here for the Scarlet Sun Demon God. If Dharma King Iko-Su spreads the news that the Scarlet Sun Demon God is in my possession, thinking of this, Tsing-Hui turned around and charged out of the arcane art sect. This little thief is on guard. Attack, stop him. Dharma King Iko-Su, who was in the arcane art sect's 8-sided dragon trapping formation, saw Tsing-Hui turn around and intend to leave. He immediately let out a low growl and charged at Tsing-Hui. At the same time, a mirror-like manifestation of a divine power appeared on his body. Rays of mirror-like light shot out from this divine power, causing the space around Tsing-Hui to become slightly distorted. Even though he was clearly flying out of the arcane art sect in a straight line, in the eyes of others, he was moving in an arc, this divine power. Tsing-Hui's expression changed slightly. His sword will erupted and the dazzling sword light of the Scarlet Abyss sword was unleashed. An illusory image of a blazing sun seemed to condense in the void, bringing with it rolling heat as it slashed forward. Break for me. However, not long after this blazing sun-like sword light slashed through the distorted void, its trajectory was also distorted and dissipated in all directions. Like a blazing sun caught by a black hole, it gradually disintegrated into a blazing radiance that was projected outside the distorted space. This divine power actually has various characteristics of trapping the target and diverting attacks. Even my attack, which is close to the pinnacle of the divine power realm, can't break through this layer of mirror light distortion. No wonder everyone on the Meteorite Iron Continent calls Dharma King Iko-Su the strongest divine power on the Meteorite Iron Continent. Tsing-Hui sensed that Dharma King Iko-Su was rapidly approaching behind him and immediately took a deep breath. The brilliant sword will in his spiritual world completely erupted, as if it had turned into a dazzling blazing sun, sweeping up all the energy in the Scarlet Abyss sword and exploding outwards. Numerous energies continuously split and fused at the same time as they slashed out, causing the power of the sword to soar once again. As circles of ripples spread in all directions, the mirror light that almost distorted the void instantly shattered and collapsed. A blazing red sword chi brazenly tore a gap in the distorted space. This is a great divine power. This is already a great divine power. Dharma King Iko-Su's expression turned ugly when he sensed the terrifying power contained in Tsing-Hui's sword. His divine power could block ordinary divine power attacks, and could even reflect the opponent's divine power through the distortion of the mirror light. However, a great divine power level attack clearly exceeded the limits of what he could reflect and even the distortion limit. Right now, he could only watch as Tsing-Hui broke through his divine power. After breaking through Dharma King Iko-Su's divine power, Tsing-Hui did not dare to stay any longer. Taking advantage of this gap, the Skysplitter sword's sword speed completely erupted, shooting into the void like a stream of light. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the clouds and disappeared without a trace. Escape? You can run, but you can't run. I know a top-notch Voidwalker who can travel to any corner of the divine wilderness great world with the help of a 10th order personal space. The Hidden Sword Continent, the Eastern Wastelands, I'll go to them one by one. When that time comes, I'd like to see how long you can hide. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.